Miiverse went to be with Iwata this past Tuesday, November 7th at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It was discontinued in its place of residence, the Internet, at the young age of only 4 years. Miiverse had been a gathering place for folks all across Nintendo Land to share their art, gaming moments, and dank memes. Its presence would be sorely missed on the interwebs, Nintendo Wii U home console, and the 3DS family of consoles. It is preceded in death by Swap Note, Flip Note, and many other great Nintendo social experiences. Services will be held via a downloadable PDF to be emailed out eventually. So if everyone will, join me in a moment of silence as we remember our friend Miiverse and that one admin named Tom who is likely out of a job. What is up, Nintendo Land? Welcome to the Nintendo Open Air Podcast. It is a sad day indeed, as the staple of Nintendo's online presence is no more. But before we get to our fond farewells, we're going to cover a few more topics. And of course, before we start tonight, we've got to introduce our panel. We've got our favorite musician here, the ever-faithful Momo. And we've got the famous Monkey Finger Z. And of course, our kitty lover Max. And me, your favorite host. So, I know one thing we've been talking about a lot lately is Mario Odyssey. You know, some of us have had some time to delve into it and mostly finish it. So, what are the thoughts so far?
Yeah, I'm the one who was not planning on getting it and still didn't get it, but I did rent it thanks to the last rental store in the world. Um, so I was able to play through the whole main campaign in 2 days. I got it yesterday and then I finished up today. Um, to me, it's like a 3 out of 5, but that's just somebody who doesn't like 3D Mario. But it was fun. It was all right. It was okay. I never got through Mario 64, so I guess I got through this one.
Kind of have a similar opinion. It's kind of late picking it up. I just picked it up last Friday and finished it Monday. I don't feel like I played it as much or as hard as I played Splatoon when it was released, so I don't know. It's a little disappointing, I guess, on the length. And then there are so many of those stars, or moons rather, to collect, which is just
Yeah, it's a
almost,
collectathon.
yeah. But I agree with your
There's
score. Definitely 3.5 out of 5 for me as well.
Yeah, I mean it's a good game.
Well, one thing, like with the Moon Collection thing, like in the original Mario 64 game, like when you got your I don't even remember what the token was that you
Like
got at the
stars,
end.
I think.
Was it a star? Yeah, it was a
I think
star.
so. And then they added
Um,
more with the DS version as well.
yeah, but I mean, it was like there was a whole quest involved in getting that one star. You know what I mean? Like I get the whole like find this secret, get a moon, and that's your collectible item, and that I get it, but it doesn't. I don't know. It's a different kind of vibe to it. There were I don't think Mario 64 had collectible items scattered throughout the world that you had to really worry about, right? I think there was like the 4 red coins or something, or 8 red coins. I think that was like a thing to get a star, but in general, you know what I mean? It had a different vibe to it. I haven't put in very much time into it at all yet, just because of the baby,
Yeah,
but it's just
this
I
one's
don't
got
know.
a lot.
It's pretty, and I'm having a good time with it. The feel of it is still different than Mario 64. It's still a little more 3D world or galaxy.
Yeah, it does
Definitely.
kind of feel like 3D World a little bit to me. Although it's a little bit more open. Um, but there's
Yeah,
a lot to do. The nice thing is I don't feel like I'm obligated to get all the moons or even really look too hard for them. It's like you pretty
Yeah.
much are like, oh, there's going to be a moon here. Hey, there was a moon there. Um,
Yep. It kind of cheapens the experience.
It's almost like in Breath of the Wild, like how you climb up on stuff. You're like, I know if I climb up on top of this, there's going to be a Korok. It's like, I know if I climb on top of this, there's a moon.
I kept jumping, expect myself to glide, and of course that wasn't happening.
I did not like the controls very much, and like having played through the game from start to credits, I still don't really know how to do like the dive onto the hat. Like, I mean, I guess I can, but I'm not smooth with any of the mechanics. But I was still able to make my way through the game.
Yeah, I really had a lot of problems with the controls. As someone else from the podcast had pointed out this week, if it was not for Mario's Shadow, some of those things would have been impossible to land the correct jump or, to get to the right area.
Yeah.
To me, it felt like a lot of times you were kind of fighting the camera with one hand, and on the other hand, you're trying to get Mario where he needs to be.
That's any 3D platformer, though.
Yeah. I mean, I've noticed like there's ones where you're like holding the little acorns that you have to plant and stuff, and then like trying to move the camera at the same time as you're holding the Y button, or you press the Y button and like.
Yeah, those were my gripes with Snake Pass, where you'd have like literally like 4 or 5 things that you were holding on the controller at once, trying to move the camera, trying to move the snake, and then there's like 3 different grip and control buttons for moving the snake, and it was like there were times where I would have to just hold the controller up and try to move the camera stick around with my chin, because I couldn't let go of anything to move my thumb to the camera stick.
Although I'm pretty sure I can just press Y to pick it up and I don't have to hold it, but I think I was holding it for a long time when I didn't have to. So that might have been alleviated that way. It took me a while to get down. You have to hold down the button for the hat throw to jump on the hat. So you have to keep that button held down, or else the hat will just come back.
What control scheme did you guys use? I've been really given, and I'm all me. I'm Mr. Motion Control and all that gimmicky crap, but like I've been really trying the split controls, and I don't know, man. I just don't know.
That's the way Nintendo wants you to play it. I'm gonna guess Jason played on the handheld.
I tried it for a while in tabletop, and the screen is just too small to feel comfortable with the split Joy-Con. So yeah, I've been playing handheld. And
I, of course, played Pro Controller, which Pro Controller is the way if you want to do that 360 hat spin, because you just whip the controller to the side, and it's pretty effortless to do the 360 hat spin, which I understand can be a little troublesome on other control schemes.
I haven't figured out how to do it. Yeah. So
I'm going to have
throwing
to put
the hat up is kind of weird too. You can throw the hat and then flick the Pro Controller upward, and the hat will go up as well. And that was a little bit tricky. But the 360 thing, like, one way you can do it is you can use the control stick to spin yourself, and once you get Mario spinning, throw the hat, and it'll do it. But if you want to try to do it quicker, like I said, with the Pro Controller, you can just kind of press the hat throw and then whip it to the right, and it'll just go around. I didn't use that a ton, but there's some like little puzzles and stuff, like where there's like a circle of flowers or something where you're supposed to hit all the flowers at once, and that helped to do it.
Yeah, I'll have to look at the control manual in game or something and try to figure out how to do it in handheld. But I've messed with it. I think I'm 216 moons in, and I haven't done it yet. So
yeah, it sounds top 200.
From you guys who are obviously a lot further along, it really sounds like people were chewing on Breath of the Wild for months, right? It doesn't sound like this is gonna have that kind of.
This isn't quite the sandbox that it's like if Breath of the Wild is a beach and Mario Odyssey is that little turtle-shaped sandbox that you get for the 5-year-old in the backyard.
And once you've been to a world, you've seen it, and you're going to explore to do like the main quests that you're required to do, and then
you kind of know where everything's at.
Right, and you've seen it. It's like going into a building, or jumping up on top of a different building, or going in a hole somewhere that doesn't really, you don't have that sense of exploration like with Breath of the Wild, where you're like, oh, I haven't been over this cliff before. There's stuff down here.
Yeah, there's a little bit of it. There's a level where you become like a fireball that swims through purple lava,
Yeah.
and it seems like there's a lot of liquid to go around, and like little every kingdom has its own currency, so that currency is not spendable in any other kingdom. So like that's kind of part of the little mini collectathon is just going all over and climbing on top of stuff to try to find the currency so you can buy outfits that you can make dank memes out of.
And I believe there's 50 in every kingdom.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
Well, there might. Um, I I mean, I don't know. I had fun with it. It was it was like a good 2 days. Like I felt bad thinking that somebody spent years and years making something that I'm just whipping through in 2 days. But for people who want more out of it, like if you're the OCD type that wants to go out and collect every single moon and find everything, I'm sure people can spend the rest of the year into
That's
next
how I
year on it.
used. That's how I used to play Mario games, but you know, the
Yeah,
older I get, the more responsibilities I have now. I just blow through them. And like Super Mario 3D World, whatever the last condition to do, to get completion
yeah,
was to play back through the entire every single level, get every single item, yada yada, with every single character. So it's like, okay, you just want me to play through the game 5 times? No, sorry.
yeah.
That was where I drew the line on 3D World, but I did everything up to that point. And I think I even played all the way through it with the second character before I was like, hell no.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to do, and just even, I think you have to have almost every coin in every level to be able to buy every single thing from the shop, because each
I would
each
assume
little
so.
kingdom has its own shop, so you have to dig up at least most of them. I usually just bought the outfits and then like the sticker for the Odyssey. There you get like little bumper stickers for your Odyssey ship, and I kind of kept it at that point. But even some of that in game, there's like you have to get a certain outfit to unlock a certain area that just
yeah.
basically unlocks an extra moon or two.
Yeah. Like the most recent one, I've only done one about the outfit, and most of the time I just skipped it. And it literally you walked around the back of the shop, and then there was a hidden room that you played through a short level, which was very
Yeah,
nice. But yeah,
was
and
that on the Bowser one?
yeah, that's my favorite
Yeah,
level so far.
yeah. The little whatever it is bird.
I think those are
Um,
actually Tengu, which
Ooh,
are
look at you! You're the bird guy, which people on the podcast probably don't know.
those are Japanese
Uh,
wind demons. So
yeah, those were fun. I like it was
yeah,
it was all the good parts of the fork, and
yeah.
uh, but yeah, it's like you can be a tree, you can be a fork, you can be a manhole cover, um, you can be a statue. It's like really weird. There's a couple points in it where you just become something so that you can move it.
Yeah.
Those were those were like the weirdest ones to me,
Well,
where it's just like become a manhole cover so you can slide the lid over.
one of the issues I'm having with the game is it still doesn't feel right to me. It's the mixture of the sort of real world feel, like you had pretty much New Donk City, the tanks, things like that, and
Yeah,
then you've got Mario, which is the rest of the game. I don't.
yeah. The
I still
the
don't think
tanks were pretty badass.
the tanks were fun to play, but to me it still doesn't go together. Make them cartoony, make them look like a Mario
Yeah.
character.
And then the little food world, like that one was just completely over the top, cartoony,
Yep.
kind of looked like Mario. Looking at the game, like I mean, there's definitely some spots where I can see there's like extra shiny textures, and the water levels look pretty good as far as water's concerned. But I wonder how much of it was developed for the Wii U and then turned around midway through development, because it doesn't seem like it's really pushing the hardware uh,
No.
too hard as far. But that's the Nintendo thing, is that it doesn't have to. Um, but I thought it looked pretty decent.
Yeah, there's some moments in it where you stop and look and it's like, wow, this is pretty nice. But
I always notice like super shiny tech, like water, the way water looks, um, how shiny Mario's nipples are.
Does he have shiny nipples?
I played about 75% of the game without the shirt on.
Nice.
Okay.
Shirtless
And,
Mario was a thing, yeah.
Yeah, well, one of the features this one adds, which seems like a real throwaway like Wii U feature, is that you can take pictures of yourself, and like you don't really have a lot of control over the camera, but you can kind of frame the photo. You can kind of like pause in the game to take a picture of yourself. So I noticed at one of those, like I'm like, why is Mario's skin shiny? I'll have to post that one sometime later.
Yeah, there's some, if you're on Twitter or some kind of social media, you're going to see these posts and it's like, how in the world did they get this nice shot of Mario running, or where everything's
Yeah.
kind of in proportions, like where it doesn't look like a video game screenshot. But
Yeah, and you can choose to put. They've got different filters. Like there's like a fisheye camera filter. You can put the Mario Odyssey logo on it, which I never do, but I'm sure Nintendo wants us to.
I'm surprised it's not required. That's kind of
Yeah,
nice.
I thought it was cool. Like I was going through because you can place it like in any corner, and then there's like a black and white version and a color version. And I was like, please let the last version be nothing at all. And luckily it was. I mean, you'll know what it is when you look at it. You're gonna know that's Mario Odyssey.
And everything has a mustache if it's not Mario.
Right. Um, I did like. There's quite a lot more 2D Mario puzzles than I thought there was going to be. Like I knew there was a few in there just from seeing stuff, but I didn't realize it was going to be so many. It seems like every world has at least one. I would think.
I have to
Those
say,
little you go into a pipe, you know.
right, you basically go flat and play original Mario style, which I really liked. In fact, I wouldn't mind if there was
Yeah.
like a eShop game where it was just like a Mario game. It was this collection of those.
Yeah, because you're like wrapping around. There's one that kind of has a little bit of a Gunman Clive or VVV
Mm-hmm.
uh, aspect to it, where it's like anti-gravity.
Yeah.
Where it's like if you jump too far down, then the gravity's on, and then you're anti-gravity again. But yeah, they can make a game out of that where you go around corners and stuff. Like it looked to me like it was going to be a link between worlds when I saw it in the trailer the first time.
Yeah, me too.
Which maybe it is, but it seems like there's a little bit more to it. I mean, they're all pretty short,
Right.
but they're fun.
They are fun. And I think they do a nice job of translating the modern graphics into the pixels. It looks good on
Yeah,
everything I've
yeah.
seen.
It's at first it threw me a little bit that some of the stuff you can still see the real world like overlaid.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's one where you're underwater and there's like fish swimming on top of you, and I'm like, do I have to avoid those fish? But you don't because they're on top of you and you're flat on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Have
don't
you
know. I
guys
thought it
played?
was good.
Have you guys played with any of the Amiibo stuff?
I have a few, which
I did it just one time for fun, but I didn't really
Yeah.
get anything out of it.
I did it once and I have the only Mario amiibo I have is the classic Mario 30th anniversary. So I unlocked
Right.
that early, which I think is like the first thing you unlock with coins, I guess. So that was kind of disappointing.
What
But
does it do?
it gives you the retro color outfit to wear.
Oh,
And I scanned in a few of the non-Mario ones, and then it marks moon locations on your map, which is nice.
yeah. I scanned like Little Mac and Villager and Captain Falcon and stuff, and it was just like this amiibo's out looking for something. Come back later. Um, and it was moon locations, I guess, but
Yeah.
I might have found those locations by the time I got done waiting.
When you come back, it'll just mark them on the map. It'll list off the ones that you used. What's nice, I didn't see any limit. I used 3, and it just marked 3 S's on them.
It seems like it just kept going. Like you could just keep feeding it as many. Uncle Amiibo did not feature as prominently as I thought he would. In fact, unless you really know to look for him,
Yeah.
he doesn't really show up. Like I thought they'd make a deal out of that. I was like, there's going to be an Uncle Amiibo someday, but I guess not.
I actually had to look up online how to scan in amiibos, so it was not super obvious, I guess.
Yeah, he just kind of shows up. I think the first time I saw him was in the whatever the wooded level was. Was the first time I kind of noticed. I feel like I really blew through the first level, like the little Mexican town.
I did too.
Like I feel like I blew through that and didn't do a whole lot and didn't understand a whole lot and was just kind of trying to get through it. I did go back to New Donk City at some point and kind of played around with more stuff because I hadn't done that, and I know that's kind of the masterpiece. But what did you think were the best transformations in the game?
Well, we've already mentioned the Tengu. That was my favorite.
Yeah, me too.
I like the flying ones, the Paragoomba, and I think it's the first time I've ever seen a para dry bones.
Yeah.
Ever. And then the fireball was nice. That was a cool little nod.
I actually thought the onion was pretty cool.
Ooh.
Where you,
the one that
where you
grows.
hop in. Yeah, that grows and you can kind of jump. It's like some of the transformation stuff is more obvious than some of the others. Like, there's one point kind of later in the game where you're at a snow level and there's a race, but there's somebody that's not coming to the race.
Yeah.
And you have to get that guy to go to the race, and you talk to him and he's like, I'm not moving for anything. And I'm just like, all right. So I leave and I go talk to the guy again, and he's like, we're still waiting on a guy for a race. I'm like, oh crap. So I went back to the guy and I'm like, throw my hat at him and you become him. And I'm just like, oh, I didn't think about forcibly possessing this guy and taking part of his body so that I can make him walk and participate in the race. Some of those things were kind of weird, but every now and then it's like, you're like, I'm kind of stuck. I don't know what to do. And you're like, I'm just going to throw my hat at some crap.
Yeah. After a while, I just
cool.
started throwing my hat at everything.
As cool as the T-Rex is, it's really not that great to,
it was
to run around and be a T-Rex.
It was unimpressive.
And it looked kind of, I don't know. I mean, it looks okay, but.
Yeah. And I think part of it too, you mentioned blowing through the earlier levels. Well, one, I'd played the Mexican style level on demo twice, so I was just ready to be done with that.
Yeah.
Something new. But they showed so much of the game for it to be such a brief experience. Nintendo really showed most of the game. Bowser's Castle was the only thing that really surprised me, and then the very final level.
Yeah.
So.
There's some surprise bosses. One thing I was kind of surprised is that there's a lot of boss recycling. Like, not every boss, but almost every boss in the game that you fight at least twice.
Yeah.
And I mean, subtle variations, except for there is one out there, which I'll just say Ridley confirmed, but I won't go into too much detail. That's a Metroid thing.
Yeah, no spoilers, man.
Yeah, hopefully we haven't spoiled anything so far. I feel like most of it's fairly, unless you've done it, you don't know what we're meaning. So.
Yeah, most of it. But it's a lot of it's pretty counterintuitive. I didn't feel like not counterintuitive. It's pretty intuitive. I feel like the difficulty is really not too bad. There was only a couple bosses even where I had to redo them.
Yeah.
Although the ones that I did have to redo, I had to redo a couple times. There's no white Tanuki in this one, but there is an extra bit of health that you can get, that you can buy for coins.
Right.
If you fail at a boss enough times.
I did have a problem a couple of times where I failed either a boss or like got into a long section near the end of a level and then die a stupid death, and then I would come back and it's like you have to replay a lot of the level to get back to where you were.
Yeah.
I didn't like
there was one particular one towards the end.
Yeah.
Where I ended up having to redo this long stream where you're breaking through rocks and stuff.
Yes. Yes.
As a certain character.
If you've played it, you know it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a character from the one I'm talking about anyway was a character from Super Mario World.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why did they put the save point? Because a lot of times in the game I would die, and when I got respawned, I'd be like, oh, thank God they were smart enough to put the respawn right here so I don't have to go through this whole thing again. But that was one where it was just like, why do I have to go through this whole thing again?
Yeah. Yes.
But I mean, it's not hard. It's just annoying.
Yep.
But yeah, overall, it was okay. It's not Breath of the Wild, but I think Mario fans will be happy, and I would think Mario 64 fans will be happy. There's enough nods probably to it.
Yeah, there's a lot of,
Um,
and even Sunshine, there's some, you'll see something and it's like, oh yeah, I kind of remember that, or this seems familiar. So
yeah. I thought it was an interesting enough mechanic with the hat thing. But really the abilities are always kind of what makes a Mario game unique. And it felt like everything was kind of set to a world. Like you use this character and you don't really see that character again. Like, um, but it was a fun game to play through. I liked it more than I thought I would. At first, I really hated it. Like, I was really struggling to get through some worlds, and I had a lot of trouble just getting it to feel right with the controls.
yes.
And still, even towards the end, like you'll watch people on YouTube, and they can pretty much get anywhere. Like they'll just be like, "Oh, you throw your hat, and then you jump, and then you dive, and then you bounce on the hat, and you throw your hat again in midair," and it's like they could just get up anywhere. And I would have so many times where I would just be like, "I'm going to fall to my long fall to my death."
Yes, the fall screen was a very long fall.
Like if you're off a cliff, especially if you're sliding down a wall.
Yes.
I would sometimes just wall jump off the wall so I could fall quicker.
Wall jump and then ground pound.
Yeah, just ground pound to my death. Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody who has a Switch at this point, or almost everybody, I guess not Max, but almost everybody has it. It seems like because it sold a ton.
Yeah, if it's interesting,
it's Mario.
Yeah, if it interests you, at least it's worth trying.
Yeah,
and it does because Mario interests everybody in the least.
Yeah, we wouldn't be here if
even you, man. Like you're like, oh,
yeah.
Screw 3D Mario. 3D Mario sucks.
Yeah,
I'll just rent
I like
it and
3D.
beat it.
I like 3D World and 3D Land. Yeah, I mean, it's so nice to have an option to do that too, to just be able to rent something and it's like if I, now I can, if I want to someday, my save data, as long as my Switch hasn't been trashed, since I can't transfer my save data. If I want to wait until it becomes a Nintendo Select, which because it came out the first year, it inevitably will be, I can pick it up for $20 and have all my save data and thon if I want to, or
you mean
whatever.
You mean you can pick it up for $39.99? Is undoubtedly collects will be.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll see $20 Nintendo Selects for Switch.
You think?
Like,
yeah.
1-2 Switch will be, but I don't know.
Yeah, I fully expect it. You think maybe they'll start doing like the when McDonald's change their like dollar meal to like their menu to like the value meal where all of a sudden the cheeseburger was like $1.29. Like all of a sudden they'll have like a $30 range of selects.
Yeah.
Ultra selects. Selects and ultra selects. Or new selects.
No, they'll call them something different.
Yeah. Premium cut.
Nintendo originals, the new originals.
Yeah. Well, that's what they're gonna have to call the ones that they're remaking for their virtual console that have added online content. Those will be their
Those
new
will be
originals.
interesting. I'll be curious to see what they do.
Yeah.
I feel like, anyway, we won't go down that road. We've been down that road many times.
That's true.
There, as a side note, speaking of roads we've been down, somebody had posted a story, although I don't know that it's really newsworthy, that European eShop, and I think the US eShop too, lists Breath of the Wild DLC Pack 2 for end of the year or December or something.
December 31st, I think.
Yeah.
Well, but a lot of places just do that when they don't have a solid release.
When they don't have a date.
So.
I was really surprised that we got a Xenoblade Direct, being that they spent so much time on it at the last Direct. Like, wasn't it like 20 minutes?
Because
Like 20 out of the last 40?
I think it's the same reason they did so much pushing with ARMS. People just don't care.
How many people here, just take a quick poll, how many people here watched the Xenoblade Direct?
I didn't.
Not me.
No.
I didn't.
You did?
So,
How was it?
I don't think anyone did. I only know one person that's, as far as our group of people that's on the podcast, that watched it. So,
yeah. For people that have been on the podcast, yeah.
That's right.
I wasn't really. I that's the kind of thing that I can just get the cliff notes of, like, which I didn't even pay. The only one that I even really paid attention to is that there's a new costume coming to Breath of the Wild. There's going to be a new side quest that's going to have an outfit for one of the Xenoblade characters in Breath of the Wild, and even that I don't really care about because I'm so done with Breath of the Wild.
It's a marketing side quest. Can you believe this? It's like, hey, we're gonna, give you something that's basically to promote another game. Like that.
Hey, they gave you. Think of all those poor bastards with a Wii U version that had to buy DLC and get a Switch T-shirt.
That is pretty cruel.
Yeah,
that's pretty terrible. Yeah.
And
at least they could have given them their own exclusive Wii U shirt.
Now they're getting more Switch exclusive content. So.
Yeah. Oh, is that going to be Switch exclusive?
The the
Xenoblade stuff?
Xenoblade is only on Switch, right?
Right. Oh, I see what you mean.
But it's the Xenoblade side quest outfit only.
I don't know.
Because you're right though. It is another buy a Switch.
Yeah.
Like
I feel like Xenoblade. It's like, to me, it's not even on the same tier as like an F-Zero. Like, I feel like it hasn't. I mean, the Wii one was big, like that was pretty, but it still wasn't. It was bigger because it was rare, and it was rare because nobody bought it the first time, and then the price went up, and then all of a sudden everybody wanted it. Which I'm sure they're fine games for the people that are into those type of games. It's just I'm not that kind of person, so I have no interest in it. But the people that are into Xenoblade are really looking forward to it. I'm surprised that they're going so big on it with that it's getting its own controller and all this stuff. But that's a good move for Nintendo because this is one they need to promote because they don't have the Zelda fans and the Mario fans. They don't have the same numbers for Xenoblade.
And as Nintendo trying to sell special editions, the people you sell special editions to are RPG players.
Yeah.
So I think those are, if you're going to be that devoted into a game, because this game will probably be hundreds of hours to complete. I mean, yeah, you'd want to get like the special controller, if there's any special editions, get that. I mean, I would.
Yeah.
If you're devoted enough to RPGs to consider them games, yeah, you're probably devoted enough to buy into all that stuff.
There are a lot of people out there that love RPGs.
I know, that was just one big.
Yeah.
I just too much of it is point, click, and then watch a 5-minute cutscene. Like I just can't. I can't do that. I need action. If I'm playing a game, I want to play a game. I'm not watching a show and then doing something in between.
It's usually a lot of walking too.
Yeah. And grinding and kill this thing over and over again. Turn based. Yeah, no.
Yeah, turn based. I can't get into.
I mean, you definitely wouldn't play something like Pokemon. Definitely not.
Pokemon is a very, very special case, and I would almost argue that Pokemon, the fact that I play Pokemon, is part of the reason that I wouldn't play any others.
Well, it got its hooks into you. Like, that's one that I'm so glad that I never got into. Like, I really don't have an interest in it, and I've played a few of the demos and couldn't get into them. But I'm like, thank God I am not into this because I've seen what this does to people. You got to buy the plushies. You got to dress up like the characters.
It's a social thing. You know what I mean? Like in my case, it was like, my wife played it, and I'll try Pokemon, and then it's like, right? There's a global community of people that all know what the hell. Name your favorite Pokemon on Pokemon Go lately, Jason.
Trubbish.
Yeah, like right there you go. Everybody knows what the hell that is. Is that one?
That's one. that's a garbage type.
Right. Is he part of Garbodor's
Yeah, he's the pre-evolved form of
Yeah.
Gardevoir.
but right, there's probably at least 1 billion people in the world that know what the hell a Trubbish is.
Yeah.
Right. It's like you're suddenly part of this whole, like, you know what I mean? It's like it's a collectathon, which we're into anyway, but it's like it's collecting things that the entire world collects. I don't know. It's a weird kind of,
That's
kind
what
of
Pokemon Shuffle did for me, is it gave me some of the language, because before I think I knew Pikachu and I knew Charizard and that was probably about it. And then Shuffle came out and I got to learn all these other names. And I said, oh, now I can enjoy your memes.
I would say that Pikachu is close to being as recognizable as Sonic or Mario or any
Yeah.
other major character.
I would say so. And is it just because of Pokemon Yellow? Because I
would
really
say
don't know a whole
Pikachu
lot of
is more
people. I don't
recognizable
know.
than Sonic, even worldwide.
I
Definitely.
don't know anybody that loves Pikachu. Like, I don't know anybody that's like, I collect nothing but Pikachu.
Pikachu's like something you kind of have to love, and then you have your favorite Pokemon.
Oh, so he's
And
just,
it's a lot of it's from the anime,
yeah.
because Pikachu is in every.
Yeah, Pikachu's your main
And
character.
Smash.
Everyone likes Pikachu, but exactly, yeah. Everyone like has their special set aside for Pikachu and the 3 original starters, right?
You could almost say that Pikachu is the
favorite.
most legendary, non-legendary. See? Never played a Pokemon game.
Oh,
I got the lingo down.
yes.
Yeah.
There
So
was. I should mention there was a reveal for Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and that is Team Rocket is coming back as Team Rainbow Rocket, and it looks like
Oh
they're
my.
bringing back some other
Are they
characters
gay?
from the past.
all of a sudden, I'm starting to understand why Miiverse had to close before that game comes out.
Okay. All right.
The Rainbow Rocket memes will be real.
Yeah, Rainbow Rocket drawings would have been
Yeah.
spectacular.
Yeah, that game still got pretty low hype level.
Yeah, it didn't really change my opinion of it. So
I'm expecting like Nintendo to be really disappointed with the sales for that game, and they're not going to understand, like when it doesn't sell as well as some of the other ones. They'll probably say, oh well, the 3DS is dead, and that's why
Americans
nobody
don't
bought
like
it.
Pro controllers.
Yeah, no, it's a 3DS title.
yeah,
We'll
probably get a
they'll say
direct on it.
they'll say the 3DS must be dead because nobody bought this new Pokemon game, and those always sell well.
Oh, you're talking about the new Ultra Sun Moon?
Yeah,
Sorry, I lost
yeah.
topic. Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, there is that core following that always buys that crap. Like, I think Black 2 and White 2, still sold a ton of copies each, but I can't do it anymore.
I think there's a lot of
Yeah.
people that's reached that point. It's like, this is, the same old stuff again. I don't know. It hasn't sold me.
Well, it's just like how I've said with Animal Crossing. Like, I'm not sure that I want to go through that again. Like, and I could see a Pokemon fan, especially one who's been there, since the 90s or 2000s even, being like, I don't know if I want to do this again.
But
go through
I remember
catching them all.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, but Animal Crossing does not come out every year with the same kind of game.
That's true. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Pokemon is the most extreme example.
Yeah.
That's true.
Pokemon beats you over the head every single year. Like, if I was a Pokemon fan, I would feel like, holy crap, I have to play the crap out of this game because I know there's another one coming, and I have to try to finish as much as I can of this one before the next one comes out.
And when you get into more of the competitive scene with Pokemon, or if you try to become more competitive with it, it's a huge investment, or at least it was for me trying to do it. I'm not a pro in any way, shape, or form, but it was a huge investment, and that was my experience when I had Black and White, and then Black and White 2 come out, and it just throws you off. It is kind of a hurry up and get back to the point you were with when everything's changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they reset. Yeah, it's like they reset the playing field every time a new game comes out. Like, and I get why they do it to allow for kids and new players to come in, but they went a bridge too far for me with Sun and Moon, with just completely resetting all the Pokemon types and making it so that you can't transfer stuff back through the bank anymore. That kind of ruined it for me.
It's a lot of game. It's a lot to do.
And it's just, yeah, I remember when I first started playing it, and a buddy of mine was like, I'm like, how long does it take to go through this main game? And it was like, it was long. Like the older Pokemon games, the main game was a chore. It was a very long slog, and they kept shortening them, and now you can kind of breeze through them. But my buddy, I'm like, how many of these have you gone through? And he couldn't even count. And it's like, are you kidding me? You just played through like the same intro over and over again? Yep.
Yeah. Well, I know I don't know if I have the exact story, but I know somebody at Nintendo had said this coming year is going to be some lesser known titles coming to the Switch, or some not as popular titles. In some way had alluded that there's some basically saying, we've given you Mario, we've given you
Zelda.
Yeah, so there's some different experiences coming, and I'm wondering, like, what all could they have up their sleeve? Like, I would almost guarantee we're gonna get a new F-Zero on Switch. I could see us getting a
I
Punch-Out
highly
on
doubt
Switch
that.
at some point. You don't think so? It's time. There's a lot of these titles that are coming due now.
Well, we got like
We know that they're working
Yoshi
on
and those
Metroid.
kinds of things. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Is I think those are the
Yoshi
things
and
they're talking
Kirby are
about.
becoming annual.
Yes.
Like Kirby especially, and I know I've mentioned this before. Kirby's got his fans like any other Nintendo character, but he's getting 2 or 3 games a year, it seems like now.
Is it just 2 or 3? It seems like he's got one coming out every other month.
Yeah, they're I'm waiting for Epic Yarn HD or something.
And I wonder if that will continue once 3DS is out of the picture and it's just Switch. Because a lot of that I feel like it's just kind of...
Yeah, he's been their go-to mini-game character.
Yes.
Recently. Like Nintendo has famously said that they create a game and then try to figure out, after they've created the game, which of their IP would fit that game best. So much so that Splatoon was a Mario game at conception, and then they were like, hey, let's create something completely different. Which is funny that they, it was going to be a Mario game, and then they were like, hey, let's make it a squid, and then they were like, hey, we could make them swim and go in between being a person and a squid, and like, it led them down the path. But it seems like they're like, hey, I've got a generic mini game. They're like, just use Kirby again.
Yeah, there's somebody in the higher up position there that's just saying, yeah, Kirby.
Yeah, we're lucky we didn't get Kirby's Real Deal Baseball on 3DS.
Well, they tried Pikmin, that didn't go anywhere. They tried Chibi Robo, that didn't go anywhere. So Kirby still sells though.
Those games were pretty uninspired. Pikmin's kind of an odd pick too, because it's one that Miyamoto is a big fan of, and it definitely has its fans. Like I still say Pikmin 3 is definitely in my top 3 for Wii U.
Yeah.
It's probably number 2 behind Splatoon.
Same here.
Splatoon was just such a great breath of fresh air. But yeah, Pikmin 3 I thought was awesome, but I don't think
Wait,
that's
what
the
was
kind
your
of
number 1 on Wii U?
Splatoon. It's got to be.
If it's not yours, don't worry about you.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I thought you were saying Splatoon was your number 2.
No. I really love Pikmin, and I had not been a previous player of the Pikmin games, but that game made me a believer, that it was a fun, great game.
Yeah.
But Splatoon, you got to give it to it. I got the most hours in it. New IP, like a completely new experience for Nintendo. Those don't come along every year, unfortunately.
Yeah,
although maybe they're
Splatoon's
going to
far and
start.
away the one I put the most hours into. Yeah, not like the second place is probably not even close.
Yeah, and it's like that's one of those rare IPs that comes out of nowhere, and it's just like those guys have action figures now. Those guys have toy guns now. Like like they're up. I don't know if they're quite at Mario and Zelda level yet, but
They're not
they're
far
probably
behind.
just a notch. Yeah, they're probably just a notch behind. So we'll see more of that stuff.
You hit on an interesting point about new experiences next year, because you think about it, and it's kind of what they did, a couple years ago when we got Federation Force and Amiibo Festival. Fans are clamoring for a new game
Man,
of this series, new game
I
of
hope
this
that's
series.
not what they meant, Jason.
And
No,
Triforce.
no. That's not what I'm going for. I mean, they've checked off a lot of series this year with like the new
Yeah,
Samus Returns game, and then they've got
yeah.
new
Zelda,
Pikmin. Yeah,
Mario.
right.
New
But I mean, some of the lesser games, that were not such big successes, they've
Yeah,
still checked that box. We've done this character this year. This should satisfy them for a while.
Well, here's another thing. Here's another thing is if they're getting a little more chummy with some of these smaller third-party studios and little indie developers and whatever, I think what's going to be happening is they're going to be farming out their IP more, like that last Metroid game, right? It's not going to really be Nintendo on it.
I would be fine with them doing that. Like I said, I could completely see them farming out F-Zero to those fast racing Neo.
Yeah, but that's
people.
the thing is they got to farm it out to people with proven track records, and they got to and it can't lose the thing. Like to me, that last Metroid lost the thing.
I don't know. It definitely felt. I don't know why there was. I mean, it wasn't to me as good as even like obviously Zero Mission and Fusion and stuff. But it's probably in fourth place. Like it, I didn't want to give it as much credit but it kind of won me over a little bit. Like I thought, it felt enough like a Metroid.
Well, again, I have so little time to play lately, but
yeah. Did you ever finish that one yet? You
no.
still working on that one? To get
No,
on it, boy.
I don't know if I'm ever gonna get. I don't know when I'll be able to get back to that stuff.
Yeah.
Hopefully soon.
Right
now it's Mario, especially now that you guys have told me, it only takes 2 days to beat.
Well, if you're doing nothing else for those 2 days,
you can knock it out pretty quick.
Well, I'm not going to be able to put in the chunks of time that you put in, but if I can beat it relatively quickly, I'm not in collectathon mode anymore. Sorry, guys.
I had another thought. I was gonna say it's gonna be 8 more days before I can tell you how many hours I ended up putting into it. But I started wondering if the other day I thought, like, I wonder if that's one of Nintendo's strategies. Like the reason on the Switch you can't find out how many hours you've got into a game, or more importantly, the reason it doesn't display to others is because if you tell somebody you beat it, they're not going to know how many hours it took you to beat it, and be like, oh, that game's only got 10 hours of gameplay. Well, I'm not going to buy it then. Although with like so many other Nintendo games, it's like you can beat it as fast or as slow as you want, except for maybe Breath of the Wild. I mean, I know people do speedrun it, but I don't think anybody was picking it up brand new the first time and beating it in 10 hours.
Right.
But yeah, most of those games, it's like you can do the main kind of campaign and then go on your collectathon or an explorathon. But I just kind of wondered if that was maybe the reason behind their Switch not telling you how many hours you've got into something until 10 days have passed.
I don't know why that is there at all.
Yeah, the logic of that escaped me.
There has to be some reason.
And I can't imagine it's technical. Like, I can't imagine,
No. Because it's logging every hour. They've got, and it's like, I don't know why there's not even like an activity feed type thing where you can see, because I'd be curious to know how many hours. I guess I can go into the parental control app, maybe.
Yeah. And even that, it's kludgy and disorganized. It's hard to figure out exactly how many hours you have into something.
Right.
Well, that seems to be the way Nintendo likes to do apps.
That's the truth. By the way,
better luck for Animal Crossing.
Since we're talking about new apps, when do you think we'll ever get something added to the... Right now, you know, that you open a Switch app and it's just Splatoon. You think anytime soon we're going to be getting a new addition to that?
I don't know. I'm surprised they haven't tried to use it to pimp ARMS, honestly.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, you can do two-player teams in ARMS. I don't see why that you wouldn't want to communicate with your teammate.
Yeah.
And it's just another reason for them to try to push ARMS. Yeah, just more marketing.
Yeah, like I feel they probably should have thrown ARMS into a bundle or something, like just to kind of remind people that it's out there, because that's one I feel like has fallen by the wayside.
A Christmas bundle, they just know that there would be shelves full of those after Christmas is the problem.
Well, hey, I mean, that might have been the perfect thing, because when all the Switches are sold out,
that's what I mean. Yeah, you know,
like,
that's what I was.
I guess
saying.
I guess I'll get the ARMS. That would have been brilliant.
If they played that right, if they'd played that right, if they'd put out
thrown the yellow Joy-Con in there,
came out. Yeah, exactly. If they'd put out an ARMS bundle when ARMS came out and you couldn't get any Switches otherwise. Yeah, no, they would have sold millions of them.
They were like, you can't put that out, idiot. There's no amiibo support. It's which is still amazing to me. Like the way, Mario Odyssey has some of, I mean, arguably it's all pretty lazy, but it's got some pretty lazy amiibo support. As far as it's just like it'll give you hints on a map of where to find more moons.
I was reading that apparently one of the Peach amiibos gives you the 6 hearts, or the, you know what I mean? The double hearts just whenever you want it.
Right.
That's kind of convenient. I'm going to bust that one out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. I like having stuff like that. Like you said, that's kind of replaced the Tanuki, or the white Tanuki. And you can, I mean, it's still nowhere near as overpowered as the white Tanuki, but I used it a couple times on some of the boss fights. Like when I died, I was like, I'm just going to take the extra hearts. And it's nice knowing with pretty much every boss in that game, if I couldn't get it done with 3, I could surely get it done with 6.
That's true.
What games did the white Tanukis appear in?
It was in the 3D Land, 3D World.
Yeah, I know it was in
just
3D.
Those 2?
Yeah. Oh, was it also in 3D World? I guess I'd forgotten.
Yeah.
Yep.
What pissed me off about 3D Land is if you died a few times in the same spot, it would pop up the little thing, you know, the little box for it. And like, as I understood, if the box pops up though, you couldn't get like the perfect score. Like, but it was also just insulting that it was like, oh, you died a couple times. Here you go. You're an idiot.
Well, they're just giving you the option.
Nah,
they don't want you to take it personal.
You should
They're just saying it's here if you want it.
I don't care.
You should be able to turn that off in the menu somewhere.
Yeah, just completely. Yeah, in the main menu, just completely turn off the option.
If it offends you so much, I guess so.
But like when I completed the game, I apparently didn't get the 5 sparkling stars. I got, you know, because I completed everything. I didn't get the sparkling stars apparently because I had allowed that box to come up, or maybe accidentally hit it one time. I don't know. But yeah, that was kind of crappy.
I'm way beyond that in gaming anymore. Like I'm just like, I don't care. I don't need to get everything. I'm not that guy.
Having a child does that to you. But
yeah. Oh, I was like that before. I just got old and lazy.
That's true. Yeah, having a job does that to you too.
With Mario, I was just like, let me just do the minimal amount to get through this.
That's pretty much what I'm going to do with this one, and it'll be the first time I've ever done that in a Mario game. Mario games were the one exception where I would just beat them to death.
I think I've mentioned before, and I think you have too, like, I don't really care if a game, like, I don't need a game to have 100 hours of gameplay in it for me to feel like I got my money's worth. Like, if I can whip through the thing and even if I can whip through it in 3 hours, if it's a good game, or you know, even less, like a good game's a good game.
$60, if I paid $60, I burned through it in 3 hours, and there's not much replayability, I'd be a little pissed. But if it's a $20 game, and I can burn through it in 2 or 3 hours and think, wow, that was awesome. Yeah, I can walk.
Or like a Gunman Clive that you can spend 2 hours
$2.
Yeah, for $2. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
yeah, I'm completely happy with that stuff. I don't need it. Like, I know RPG, I think, was like the first time I started hearing them be like, "There's 600 hours of gameplay in this," and I'm like, God, I don't want that.
I
Like,
remember, yeah, when that started becoming a thing, when
Yeah.
that became the you know the penis wagging of the game industry is how many hours of gameplay
How many hours?
pack
Yeah.
into something, and that was when stuff like Ocarina of Time, where to me again, and I know I know Mo, you weren't a big Ocarina of Time fan, and I'm also in the minority here, but to me, so much of that game was just running back and forth across that stupid field. And then, oh, the next leg of the quest, where's it going to take me? Of course, back to the other side of the field.
You could
And
roll
so,
faster, you know.
yeah, you know what I mean, right? Though it was
Yeah.
to me, it was like I suddenly became acutely aware of all these tricks that they would use to artificially increase your
Length in a game.
playtime.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
like, you know what? I don't want to walk back and forth across the same lawn 50,000 times over the course of the game. That is not legitimate gaming time to me. That is, you know, that's just time filling. That's commercials.
And not in any way to compare the two, but the problem I had with Pikmin on the 3DS was that there's like little they're not even cut scenes. I guess they sort of are. They're basically just little animations, but they might take only 10, 15 seconds, but they're just wasted time that you're just like, come on, and you can't skip it, and it's stupid, and it's like it's already a boring, slow game, and then it just slows it down even more, and that's like why I still haven't been able to finish it. Like,
So
I
that
got so
Pikmin
far
game
in.
goes in that same bin with of bad spin-offs with Triforce Heroes and
Yeah, I think so. And
Federation
that's what I'm
Force.
afraid of.
Yeah.
Eventually we're going to get some kind of Splatoon game where it's
Don't say that.
style savvy.
Don't say it.
Splatoon style savvy, where you try to collect all the, or maybe you're an outfit designer and you try to come up with the freshest gear for the runway.
What about a Splatoon Dance? What is it?
Yeah.
What is it? Just Dance.
Squid Revolution.
Mm-hmm. I was
Yeah.
just thinking, because Just Dance, as you like to point out, is still coming out on the Wii.
Yeah.
Even this year. But right, I could see it. I could totally see it.
Yeah. I was surprised they didn't do a Splatoon for 3DS. Like, I could have seen them trying to do something, even if it's
Just
like
like
single
the single
player.
player campaign. Yeah.
I mean, they could probably do a Splatoon single player game and people would buy it if they made it just a little bit deeper. Like,
They made a
I
Super
wouldn't
Mario
mind it.
Maker single player game and people bought it.
Well, and that's been a big talk right now too. Is I shared there's an infographic, or I guess it's an infographic meme type thing that's been going around the internet, where it's got all these different game screenshots and it says thank you for still making single player games, and then it's got EA in the middle and it says not you. But that's a thing where the games industry has become so focused on everything having multiplayer. Like, that's, just like artificial lengthening. At some point, everything had to become multiplayer, and then they started, doing the DLCs and the loot boxes and stuff like that hasn't really hit Nintendo yet.
It's because that's the way to make the money, though. Is the game lengthening was a marketing tactic and whatever, but this is straight up. Oh, we can eke more money out of people if it's an online social community, and we can, we can
and people will play longer, but
gambling with the loot boxes, and
but it might end up being ignored that this year Mario and Zelda were two of the highest selling games and both single player games. Like, I still want to play single player stuff. I don't need everything to be
that being
online.
said, if Zelda had been an open world MMO, I'd still
at some point it will be. Yeah. At some point it will be. I could
I
see
would have
them
been
doing
sucked
that.
into that for years if
Choose your race.
Like my child would be neglected in her crib right now. If it was a Zelda MMO or a Poke MMO. Just saying.
I could see that stuff coming at some point in the future.
Yeah, but like if Nintendo were to release something like that today, they'd already be so late to the party. It would be funny.
And their network servers would crash.
Yeah, well, that too. But I mean, you know what I mean? Like, World of Warcraft. When did that launch? That was like,
Ooh, you'd
and it
know better
wasn't
than
like
us.
that wasn't like the first MMO by any means. It was just like the biggest, the biggest one ever for its time. But I mean, geez, that was probably almost 10 years ago. Maybe
I think I had
more.
heard something about them getting a vanilla server.
Yeah,
as well.
they just launched. Yeah, they're getting their vanilla original OG, what I originally played on. Yeah, they're apparently launching that. I don't know what the details are on it.
Might
They're
be
also
too
made a
little,
bunch
too
of
late.
their old games free to play. I don't know if anybody cares. Original StarCraft is now free to play, and some other stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember those names. I remember seeing those games.
But right, I mean, again, it wasn't the first MMO. Initial release date 2004. It's been out for 13 years.
Yeah.
Right. So if Nintendo were to get on that bandwagon now, they're literally like a generation behind.
Yeah, but if it's got the right IP, that's all it really needs to have.
Sure. It's just how, I mean, you know what I mean? How far behind is Nintendo? Is my point. Is you're like, oh, down the road, I'm sure we'll see an MMO. Well, 13 years ago, dude.
But 13 years ago, that didn't really exist on a console. Nintendo's
granted
just a console.
Fair enough.
Thing.
Fair enough. Too bad we don't have T on with us. She could tell us probably when the first real MMO came out. Wasn't there some MMO? There wasn't there was the modem for the GameCube. There was some Final Fantasy
was for,
Online.
Fantasy Star, or one of those had something.
Mm-hmm. So was that a legit MMO, or was that just a multiplayer game? I thought that was a legit MMO.
I don't know.
I have no clue.
I'm not sure.
So, point being, even console MMOs have been around a long time. Get with the program, Nintendo, as usual.
Yeah, I mean they'll get there. I can't really complain that much with the year that they've had. They've had a pretty good year without any MMOs.
They've had a pretty good year without addressing the Wii U owners as well, right? Like they seem to make a point to kick Wii U owners in the balls as often as possible. Do they not?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they don't really. It's such a small group of people, overall. Even though it is Nintendo's core audience,
owners, it's still more. There's still more Wii U owners than Switch owners at this point.
For another 6 months or so.
Yeah,
maybe
probably another
Christmas.
3 months.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the Switch is coming up quick. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I got a lot of use out of the Wii U. That was one of those things that Wada used to always say, was that they didn't want to come out with another system until they had satisfied the Wii U owners. And I think they did a good enough job. At least they bothered putting Breath of the Wild out on Wii U. Like that was, like notable for them or honorable for them to actually put it out after they had said for years that it was coming out. They could have just been like, screw you, buy a Switch.
We did that with Twilight Princess too. Yeah, for GameCube and the Wii.
That's true.
Yeah. So, I mean, Zelda's becoming that thing. So you can be sure that we'll get the next Zelda when the Switch finally dies.
That's true.
So they can put it out at the same time as as their next system. That seems to be. They should call it a link between systems. Their next one. Because that seems to be what Zelda is. Anyway, maybe it's just coincidence. I don't know. I wasn't a big follower of Zelda games, and I didn't have a Wii, so I don't know if that was one of those games that was in development for years, like Breath of the Wild was.
I think it probably was. It was totally different from all the other Zeldas.
Or they just kept promising it for years and years and years. But,
I'm just looking at our topic list and noticing that, we're Nowhere near those.
Yeah. Well,
Those
we
are
never quite
suggested.
stay on topic, but what would you like to speak about, Z?
Well, actually, on our topic was that Jason had here Yono also adds support. I'm just curious because I hadn't heard about this. What did they add for Yono? Better
I believe
controller
they,
support?
yeah, they
Oh,
added,
pro controller support.
yeah, I think so.
Right. Oh, that was exactly, yeah, no, that was the first thing I did was sit down with that game and bust out the pro controller and no dice. I had to go get the Joy-Con grip. Yeah, totally.
As
Nice.
is Snipperclips, finally.
Yeah, which you've been
Oh.
griping about since day one.
Yeah, like, well, to me, it was mainly because I know it's not one that most people are going to be playing solo
With themselves.
like I did, but I was thinking, like, as I was playing it, because you can play it handheld, and just switch between characters that way. But if you take the Joy-Con off, you can only play with one, and it has to be sideways. And it didn't have Pro Controller, and I'm just like, this is so basic. Why can't you do this? But that big update's almost here, I think.
It's 3 days.
It's getting pretty close. This is
Friday.
We're getting into the heavy hitter. We got Doom coming out on Thursday.
No, Doom's Friday also.
Is it? Oh, that's right.
Doom and Snipperclips are the same day. Yeah.
Then next week is Rocket League, right?
Yeah.
And Pokemon. Pokemon's what, the 17th?
LA Noir's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I think Skyrim's the 17th.
Yeah, or 16th, I think.
Yeah.
There's too much stuff coming out. I can't.
Well, one
you know
thing
what I
with
mean?
this generation is because, like, Nintendo's the weird company that puts crap out on Thursday. Like, no other game company does that. It's Friday. I think Friday's the big day for everybody else.
Or Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Like
so it's like
was Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I've started noticing that now. If you go to the I guess it's the eShop on the Switch, like every now and then you're just like, oh, hey, there's a game there. Like I went in today and I was like, oh yeah, that's right, Sonic Forces came out, and also Ubisoft smash hit Uno. Although that is, to their credit, only $10.
Which is about $5 or $7 too much.
I don't know. How much is a pack of Uno cards?
I don't know. There's a surprising number of board and card games on the eShop. Yeah, really.
So, hey, at least it's not the same Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune that have been on sale forever.
Every single, and on I think but
those were
always
Ubisoft
on sale on Wii as well.
Yeah,
and like every other console that you browse the shop and it's like, oh, what do you know? Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy.
Yeah. Anyway, have you put any time in?
Just in case there's 80-year-olds playing this console.
Yes, exactly.
Did you get into Yono at all?
No, dude. No. I buy stuff and have I don't. I
know.
At some point, coins are strong. Yeah, no, exactly. I got gold coins that I can spend on nothing. They'll probably expire before I even realize, that they expire. Yeah. I wish I could keep track of, I'm so out of the loop these days. I joined this podcast just so you guys can update me now.
Yeah. Well, it's all right. You'll get into it eventually. I'm still not on top of everything, especially this last week. It seems like it's just been a very kind of slow week. As we're getting into the holidays, I think everything's pretty much set. There's not a lot of surprises to come this year. Although I guess the Xenoblade Direct was kind of a surprise.
Yeah, the Direct itself was a surprise.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, which they do that a lot now too. That like with all their Directs, they'll just be like, "Hey, by the way, we got a Direct drop in 2 days."
It's usually tomorrow.
Yeah,
that's when I hear about it. I think
I'm waiting for the Switch. Sorry, go ahead. I'm waiting for a glasses free 3D Switch. That's the big announcement I'm waiting for.
Do not hold your breath.
I won't.
That'll be Switch 3, Switch 3D.
Yeah.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, maybe they can add a 3DS slot and then you can switch between screens.
No.
They'll have a little button. You can be like, do you want to look at the top screen or the bottom screen? We'll display one at a time.
Seriously, man, 3D and motion controls, they haven't ever quite gotten those two things together.
I don't
I need
know.
it. I must
That
have
might
it.
just be you. I think they've kind of got something going on with like PlayStation and Xbox and stuff like that now with some of the VR stuff has
I know, and that's it's
motion
like,
control integrated.
but I need the Nintendoification of that. Like,
Yes.
right? You know what I mean? If Nintendo were to do something like that, instead of
Well,
right, Nintendo would somehow make it the VR equivalent of sitting in a pink beanbag, on a cloud somewhere. Like, you know what I mean?
Have you played Star Fox 64 on 3DS with
Have you
gyro
played-
controls?
Have you played Star Fox Zero with gyro controls?
Wow.
No. That one's gonna get remade. Just you wait. I did find myself when I was playing Odyssey though. I straight off like when you boot up the game, it straight up tells you like try playing with split Joy-Con.
Yes.
I don't know if it tells you that even if you already have them split. I guess it does. Or just if you have a pro controller.
It's just like when you fire up arms and it
Yeah.
says this is the thumbs up grip. Yeah.
But I remember
Thumbs up
like
grip. Yeah.
it was like shake the controller to do this, and I'm like, oh come on, Reggie, this is waggle control. Like it's like shake the Joy-Con to make it do this and whatever.
And then you have the video that pops up with real hands and real Joy-Con.
Oh yeah, those are
It's
interesting
like,
too, and those even come even late in the game.
Yes.
There was something that popped up, and it was like do this, and it just had like a little gif of of like a hand moving in a certain way.
And it does it like 3 or 4 times. You've already done it and completed this.
I got it. Yeah, it's like, yeah, and the amiibo thing too. It was like press the right button and then and tap an amiibo, and then it's like showing you. It's got a picture of the controller with the button you're supposed to press circled on it. And it's like it's not enough. I mean, you want to talk about immersion. How much more immersive can a game be than to actually show you a picture of the controller that you're holding on the screen and circle the button? It's like I'm really Mario.
Does it even match your Joy-Con color?
No.
It did for me.
But he's playing with the gold gray.
Well, at least at the beginning, but because I'm playing, I get the neon, so I do remember the one at the beginning having neon. Yeah.
Oh, I apologize. This is even.
I had pre-ordered the gray, and then on launch day, I actually switched because they had neon ones, and I was like, you know what? I do want the neon ones after all. I was like, if I'm gonna go crazy day one on the Switch, I might as well go with the crazy 2 colors, which I still think, looking back in history, that's gonna be kind of one of those weird things that people remember about the Switch.
Yeah.
Remember when it launched with 2 different colored controllers? That was wacky.
Especially because aside from the Splatoon pair, they don't seem to be doing the 2 color thing like Mario Arms.
Yeah, Mario could have done a red and a blue as well, but Mario red and Mario
red
blue.
Mario red and a Luigi green.
Yeah, could have done that too. Although I don't know if Luigi makes an appearance.
I haven't seen him.
I don't see. Although his outfit does.
Oh, hey, I saw a Cat Peach, like an 8-bit Cat Peach on something.
Yeah.
Like just in the world. Am I supposed to like bust out the amiibo or something? What is that about?
It seems to be pretty much every level, I would imagine. There's like a little 8-bit sprite of some character. And I don't know if it's usually you just throw your hat at it and it'll give you some coins or something. Like,
yeah.
Oh, I didn't think to throw my hat at it.
I don't know if it's because like they did that with whatever game it was with like little Captain Toads hidden in places and stuff like that. Like
there was a Luigi hidden that would unlock Mario Brothers, I think.
That's right. Yeah, that was Year of Luigi, 2013.
Never forget.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's like it's always neat to find it, and then you're just like, oh, it doesn't really do much. It's just something else that they threw in there to be cute, I guess.
When you were talking about how they have to show us what button to press and everything. Why is it when there's dialogues from Cappy and it's like, it says these two, and then it has tiny pictures of like Bowser and Peach, and then it says their names. It's like,
I kind of wondered about that. Like, I was trying to figure out if that was some sort of like language barrier thing or something, like so that kids who can't read yet.
right, but what would it mean? Yeah.
But without context, yeah, because it's like that monster, and then it shows like a picture of Bowser head is here again. It's like, don't forget, we must save these two, and it shows like
that's Peach and
the
Tiara.
Tiara and Peach, yeah. Which Tiara is screw Tiara. I don't care about her. I ain't got no love for this character. Why don't we have a Cappy and Mitomo yet?
That's a good question.
Or in the 3DS Mii Plaza. It's like Culticept Revolt got a 3DS puzzle, but we haven't gotten a puzzle for Metroid or for Odyssey, or I guess they've just given up on the puzzles. It seems like that's like one of the easiest things they could do for the 3DS at this point.
But their release schedule for puzzles never made sense.
Yeah. I don't even know if they bother sending us Mii's for E3 anymore. So
I'm not sure.
They're really not caring. What else do we have this week? I know there was some Capcom news. Well, sort of.
Capcom and Ubisoft both, I think.
Yeah.
And, gave some glowing earnings report saying that, Switch game sales were key components in their, big earnings numbers.
Yeah. Which I know Capcom has said before that, hey, these people on Switch will obviously buy anything because they'll buy Street Fighter for $40.
$2 for $40.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it's like, and I've heard people say, like, this is a must-have on the system. It's like, I guess, like, even at $20, it's like I would maybe, I don't know if I could buy it for even 20. But I could see you begrudgingly dropping 20 and be like, well, at least it wasn't 60. But at 40, it's just like, it's like 20 is that line where you're just like, I know I shouldn't be paying this much, but I guess I will.
Right.
Yeah, it's a yuppie food coupon. It's easy. Yeah.
Yeah. So I expect to see that come down eventually too. Or Capcom likes to put stuff on sales, but maybe I will just boycott them until they put out that Disney Afternoon collection.
Most of us got Super Street Fighter 4 for probably $5. Yeah, bought it. Yeah, on 3DS for $5. I think I may have given away a code I got in a Humble Bundle to somebody.
Yeah, I think so.
You did?
It wasn't me, but I remember.
Oh, okay.
And I've probably got less than 2 hours in the game too. Like, I don't remember.
Like, I have an embarrassing amount of time in there.
I played it quite a bit, but I bought it as a launch title.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There wasn't much else.
No. It's like I had 3 games to choose from. It's like, okay.
Yeah. But the OG Steel Diver, man, that was a pleasant surprise. Well, of course, I picked it up for $7 or $8.
The side scroller one?
The little side scroller fish tank, you're like the submarine.
I bought that. I actually bought that at GameStop. I think it was under $5 new at some point.
Yeah. That money came up for like $5.99.
Yeah, I don't know that I ever finished
price. It was great.
It was okay.
Sadly,
I bought Jaws pretty cheap too. That's the game that nobody has for 3DS except for me.
There was a Jaws game.
I bought it specifically because I was like, what's out for 3DS that's rated M for mature? And a Jaws game where you play as the shark and you just go around like eating boats and then eating the people that fall off the boats.
That sounds awesome.
Good.
How much was it?
I mean, it was probably like $10. It was. I don't even know if I don't even think it's on the eShop. It's probably a physical release only, and it has the most bizarre Street Pass ever because I've owned it since I got the 3DS, and I still can't figure out exactly what the hell the Street Pass is. There's no mention of how the Street Pass works. It's just occasionally when there's like a Street Pass day and you go to the little relay, I'll occasionally get somebody that also has it, and it just shows two sharks coming at each other in slow motion, and then it's like Jaws lost. And then so I don't get the thing. And then occasionally it'll say Jaws won. But most of the time it just says Jaws lost. And I'm like, I don't know what they're basing whether I win or lose off of. I don't know if I'm supposed to be pressing a button during this. I don't know if it's based on who's further in the game. All I know is I've had maybe 20 or 30 Street Passes on it, and I've only won 2 matches. So I don't know what it's based off of. I've even asked on internet forums, like, hey, does anybody know how the Street Pass works? And people will be like, there's a Jaws game on 3DS?
That's our question to our viewers this week. If you have Jaws for 3DS.
Or Just Dance for Wii.
You are the master at pulling these obscure ass games, man.
Every now and then I'll just buy, like, I'll see something and I'll be like, huh, I'll pick that up. That was like probably one of the first 5 games I bought for the 3DS. And it's like I had a Kmart that was on its last legs in my town, and everything it seemed like for Wii or 3DS was always on sale. Like at least like the Spirit camera and crap like that. Like, not good games. Just games that were...
I wish there was a place that still had a bargain bin around here.
Freaky forms.
Stuff back.
Yeah. Well, now that Kmart's been closed, so I don't really have anywhere around here that's like that. Like, I'm always surprised. Like, Walmart around me's got a $20 bin, and it's still got DS games, not 3DS, regular DS.
Yeah, exactly.
They're still selling Wii Music for $40. I went there for like the first time in a while, and they've got like a pretty decent Wii collection there. But I saw Wii Music for $40. They had the $40, was it Wii Play or whatever, that has the Joy-Con in it for $40.
Yep.
I'm like, nobody is going to get this. I did pick up Nintendogs for $20, which I'm going to give my daughter for Christmas. I hope she's not listening.
Maybe she is 10 years in the future.
I was like, I was like, this is a game that hopefully doesn't require too much reading, and she likes puppy dogs, so we'll see how it does. I have a hard time finding
40 hours into it. Sorry, go ahead.
I have a hard time finding 3DS games that are appropriate for a 4-year-old that don't require any reading or anything. So I was like, maybe this. Like, she's got like 30 or 40 hours into Sonic the Hedgehog 2. She just plays that over and over and over, and she seems to be happy with it just being a Sonic 2 machine.
How far does she get?
About to the second world where the purple stuff, and then you drown and die. But she loves that first world.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Sonic 2, man. That's a whole generation of kids grew up on Sonic 2.
Yeah. I just recently picked it up for myself because thanks to that sweet My Nintendo 50% off offer. I was like, you know what? For $3, I'll do it.
You know what? I thank you for reminding me. Is that still on sale? I need to go back and double check. Yeah.
Yeah. You'll have to check My Nintendo. I'm sure there's probably all kinds of sweet wallpapers. I know they got Fire Emblem Warriors ones.
Yeah. Those 3D classics though, those were nice.
Yeah.
So okay, let's get.
So yeah. Anyway, Capcom, Ubisoft, good for them. Hopefully that means good things for the future of them just porting some stuff out. Ubisoft's always kind of been Nintendo's number one third party.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far
I wonder
as
how much of these reports are, hey Nintendo, we love you. Put more of our games on your console, kind of thing.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is, I think Nintendo's happy with that, and Ubisoft, to their credit, are like the one company I can think of that, through thick and thin, has stuck by them no matter what. And maybe it's just good marketing, and they're thinking like, hey, at some point this is going to pay off, and Nintendo's going to have a successful system again. And
it also might have worked to Ubisoft's favor to be one of the only major third parties to be putting out titles on the Wii U. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, look at like Mario Rabbids. Like,
Oh,
how many other companies do you think come at Nintendo and say, "Hey, we've got a great idea for a game that we'd like to put Mario in"?
And Nintendo's like, yeah, piss off.
Yeah, if it doesn't happen too often, so I don't know how that came to be, but Mario versus Rabbids is kind of a thing.
It is surprisingly.
It's almost like 2 Mario games came out this year. I mean,
Almost.
it's gonna be one of those titles. That's gonna be one of those titles that in like 3 or 4 years, people are like, "Hey, that Mario Rabbids game was pretty good."
Yeah, they'll be on a podcast somewhere saying,
Yeah.
"Man, you all remember that Rabbids game? That was the business, man."
Yeah, I mean, it's got a dedicated following. Physical copies of that are going to be $100.
How many have you bought?
Don't tempt me.
Yeah, yeah. Go buy a couple. Put them in your vault.
Yeah.
You never know.
Buy some.
At this point, you can't afford not to buy every Switch game physically.
Buy some merchandise.
Speaking of
Yes.
physical Switch games,
Yeah.
the huge ass downloads that are coming along with them, man. I mean, I get that it costs more to get a bigger cartridge, but like,
yeah,
the topic to jump to your topic, Jason. Yeah, 24 gigs coming down with WWE. Really?
Yeah, that's getting to the point we've talked in the past about, like, you might actually end up needing to buy like, I remember back in the GameCube days, I had like 5 or 6 of those GameCube memory cards that had the little labels on them.
Yeah.
That's written out like what games were saved to them or whatever. And unfortunately, a micro SD card's a little too small to write the names on it. But yeah, it seems like we're getting to that point again where basically the story was the physical version of WWE. If you buy the physical version, you're still going to need 24 gigs of available data to download the rest of the game.
Yeah, and Doom's got a big chunk too, and I think didn't NBA 2K have a big chunk?
Yeah. Have you guys seen those boxes in the stores that have the little white streak at the top, like NBA's one that says requires SD card?
I haven't seen them in the store yet. I saw, a picture of one online, but yeah, I bought a 64 and I bought that 128 and it went bad and I never was able to return it. But I thought, a 64, this ought to hold me a while. Like I'm buying mostly cartridges anyway because of the 20% off.
Right.
Like 64 will be fine for a while. And right now I'm about a third full. I've gotten a bunch of little random indie games. But
when the real games start coming.
Yeah, exactly. Like if I want to pick up Doom or I don't know if Skyrim or LA Noire or whatever, I haven't seen if they have huge downloads along with them, but they probably do.
From what I understand with Doom anyway, the full single player experience is on the cartridge. But if you want to do multiplayer, which I don't mind that as much. And if you notice, I
don't think you can opt to just not download it though. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think you might be able to. That might be an option.
But go ahead.
I would guess. So I was playing around for some reason. I don't even remember why in my Wii's menu or my Wii. Oh my God, my Switch's menu. And I've noticed they've got some really shitty like options for data. Like you can't really do much. Like if say Snipperclips was one of the games I bought like day 1 or whatever, day 2. It's on my Switch's memory. I can't transfer that to my SD card. Option for moving that data over
you have to
to
delete
that card
it and then re-download
and re-download it on the card.
It's still there, but yeah, I get you.
Right. But yeah, it's just like
it sounds like
going to be a problem.
You're just going to have to do. No, it sounds like at some point you're just going to have to do that, though. I mean, right? There's only so much you can store on your Switch's internal memory anyway, so there's only so much download you can have to worry about.
Right, and I'm fine with
Sounds
that.
like
It's
you should
just
do that sooner rather than later, though.
it should be easy. It should be something where I could just say, all right, let's move. I can do that on my Wii U. I can easily just say, let's transfer this over to my hard drive or, whatever. I've got an external hard drive on there and I can just shoot it over there.
And in reference to your calling your Switch your Wii, I have never accepted the end of the Game Boy line. So I found not intentionally, I found myself referring to my Switch as my Game Boy, as I have with every portable Nintendo piece of hardware that I've ever owned.
I was listening to some podcast a few weeks ago, and they had Donkey on from YouTube, and him and his fiance refer to the 3DS as their Game Boy. He's like, she always takes my Game Boy, and because she's got 2 Animal Crossing towns, and I'm like, oh, he means 3DS.
Yeah, no, totally. That's how I have always referred to my, ever since they changed it at the DS, right?
Yeah.
It was always a Game Boy until then. And you know what? I'm like, DS, what the hell is this crap? You can't give me an acronym. This is a Nintendo handheld gaming machine. This is, by definition, this is a Game Boy. And
maybe Nintendo is going to bring back this. Do you think they'll ever do another portable, or do you think the Switch is it? I kind of feel like Switch is it, but
yeah,
I could see them bringing back the Game Boy brand.
I think media devices, I think stuff's just changing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We live in the era of cord cutting and streaming media boxes and that kind of thing. I just think gaming consoles as they exist today are not going to be the same much longer. I don't think they'll necessarily go away. I just think they're going to change form. And I don't know if Switch is really a step that direction or a step, in a totally oddball Nintendo's own direction, right? Like, I don't know if this is a glimpse of what other consoles are going to be like in the future, or if this is just Nintendo's own oddball thing. But it's something. It's a change. They at least recognize the need for, standard consoles to not be standard consoles anymore.
Yeah, I could definitely see stuff going that way, but Nintendo's kind of in a weird spot with just how low powered it is that, if everybody's going to do portables, then everything's going to have to step back technology wise, or else people will just start putting the games on PC, which they already do anyway.
See, that's why I don't see, and I don't know, we'll see. I still don't see the market for the Xbox One X.
Yeah. Well, we were talking
PS4 Pro so much, but PlayStation's still killing it.
Kotaku article the other day that I just kind of thought was funny, like that it's like, is 1 terabyte enough in this modern age? And I'm like, we've got these Switches with 32 gigs, and it's like, but it's true with like 4K gaming comes larger file sizes and stuff, but Nintendo's still putting 32 gigs in, which that's the easiest thing. Like, they could easily put a terabyte into that, and it probably wouldn't take up any more room for the Switch. They could have done that. Memory's cheap. Memory's small.
Well, but I mean, I think the whole cartridge thing kind of flies in the face of that, right? There's all the devs complaining about the cost per cartridge. It would have been, I mean, they were just trying to cut costs wherever they could. And if it was $5 more to increase it to 64 or 128, that was $5 they didn't want to spend. I would argue 32 is, damn it, that's pretty tight, especially when you're not shipping an SD card in it.
But market research shows that the 32 gig Wii U is the best selling one. When the other option was 8. but
Americans must love 32 gigabytes.
That's right.
That's the takeaway. It's kind of surprising that they like. It's pretty common for PlayStation and Xbox and all those companies to put out 2 versions when they release a console with different memory. But obviously it might have just been because Nintendo was so pressed for time to get this thing out the door. That would probably be one of the upgrades that I would see down the road. where
The next version of the Switch will
Yeah.
probably have more internal memory. It'll probably have a slightly bigger battery and maybe the next Tegra processor. Yeah.
slightly larger
Switch
screen.
Pro, the Switch XL. I will see. I have a feeling they're married to this form factor. You know what I mean? With the dock and all the accessories, and it's like, right? You'd have to, if you wanted to make the screen any smaller or larger, the Joy-Cons are going to look wrong on it. You know what I mean? They're not going to line up with it. I think they're pretty much stuck with this. Now that being said, they could probably get rid of the bezel and get another half-inch, right?
See, I would have liked to have seen a Switch Pro that had a larger Joy-Con. Like, I think my problem with the Joy-Con primarily has been the form factor that they've taken. Like, they feel too small to me. The sticks are too short. The buttons are kind of, I don't know, they just feel cheap to me.
Nah, fair enough.
You know, but I don't know.
Speaking of Joy-Cons.
We'll see. Yeah.
So, Max, what's have you gotten any updates from Play Asia on our Red Mario Joy-Cons? Not to put you on the spot live.
No, not yet.
You are
no word, really?
I forgot to go to my account and look it up, but they haven't sent me any emails.
Huh.
So they haven't shipped at all?
Yeah, I need to go to Play Asia and look up my accounts and see.
Maybe they're back ordered. Yeah, so, right, I think I mentioned before, Max and I traded. We split the yellow ARMS Joy-Cons because I didn't want two yellow and she didn't want two yellow. So now we're splitting a pair of the Mario Red off of Play Asia.
Yeah, you guys are crazy.
So we don't each have one odd Joy-Con.
Yep.
But somewhere you've got an odd drawer full.
Well, no, not yet. But I will after a few years. Like I know once like Gold Zelda ones come out and shit, I'm gonna have too many Joy-Cons. Right now, I just want to have enough. I need one more. I just need that right Mario one, and then I have enough Joy-Cons for full 4-player motion control ARMS.
What a glorious day that will be.
Yeah, that will be Thanksgiving Day with my family, and that will probably be the only time they are ever all put to use like that. Period.
Yeah. Wonder if we'll get bowling for the Switch.
I hope so. Honestly, that Wii Sports stuff, that is something that I can always bust out in a crowd of aunts, uncles, and grandmas and grandpas, and bowling. I'm good at Wii bowling. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think the Switch has not seen the last of like 1-2 Switch type games. I mean, they obviously built all those features into the Switch because they're going to use them and nobody else probably will. Although that being said, with the Switch being a success, maybe we will start seeing more weird motion control shovelware type stuff.
Well, here's the other thing is, you know what? If the motion control thing just doesn't take off, if they just give up on it, how much cheaper could the Switch be? We know those Joy-Cons are expensive as hell for them to produce.
Yeah, just from all the components.
They could immediately shave $50-$60 off the overall cost of this thing, probably. It's a thought.
The IR sensor hasn't gotten a whole lot of love other than sandwich eating in 1-2 Switch.
True. I want to see they build all these things in for a reason. I really hope that they're planning on going all out with them because those are the kind of things I like. Again, I mean, I mess around with Arduino stuff, right? The little electronic robotic stuff, and to me, it's the same kind of thing. I love that kind of stuff. I love, if they make one game that makes spectacular use of that IR sensor, then to me that's worth it.
Right.
But waggle control and that kind of crap are not like, you know what I mean? Poor use of the gimmick only hurts the gimmick, and I don't care for it. Like, you know what I mean? Good, like Skyward Sword was a neat use of the motion controls, even though it wasn't particularly good Zelda game. I played through a substantial portion of it specifically just because they made neat use of the nice, accurate Wii Motion Plus stuff. And I don't know. To me, that makes it worth it. As somebody who's played games in arcade since the 70s in arcades, and on Pong machines and crap, like, give me something new. Give me something interesting. That's what I want.
Well, when the Switch starts getting apps, you'll probably get some sort of like digital tape measure that you can use the IR sensor to measure the distance to the wall.
That's
one thing that's not on the Pro Controller.
The first thing I will measure with a digital tape measure, sir.
Oh, I'm sure. Speaking of Miiverse.
Speaking of which,
yeah,
I think it's already gone, Miiverse.
Yeah, I just looked. It was still. I think I could still pull it up.
We had one other topic before we jump to Miiverse. Just this Nyko dock.
Oh yeah.
It didn't brick my Switch, but it's
which you're the only one with.
But it's just occasionally flaky with the HDMI out. I have to pop it out and back in, and I never have to do that with the regular docks. But overall, thumbs up on the Nyko dock. Oh, except the one pisser. It should have a little physical switch to enable or disable the HDMI. Right, because it can be a little desk, charger, right, for tabletop mode, or you can plug it in and output to HDMI. It works, great at both functions. The only problem is I have to reach back and yank out the HDMI cable if I want to change. So that's my only gripe with it, is it should have a switch to do that. But otherwise, it's great.
And there were a few reported things online of people saying that it was messing up their USB jack.
And here's what I will say to that is
what?
You should be careful. You should be careful putting it in and pulling it out. That's good advice for lots of things.
Truer words were never spoken.
But I mean, you know what I mean? It's not something that you can just drop in and not worry about, like the Nintendo dock. Like, you got to line it up carefully. You got to shove it in and yank it out kind of hard.
Does it actually like when you put it into the dock, do you feel it like kind of click in? Like, is it like you're actually?
It's not so much clicking in. It's like shoving a cable into it, right? It's like shoving.
Well, that's what I wonder. Like with a 3DS, like you feel when you're putting that cable in, like on the 3DS, you feel the power creep, but you don't notice that with the Switch dock.
There's no click to it, but there's friction to it. It's like you're shoving a cable in tight, or plugging something into the wall or something. There's not so much a click, but there's friction, and you feel like that's firmly in there. And it's a little too firmly in there when you go to try to pull it out.
Because the Switch dock is like amazing. It's like it feels like you just kind of set it on there, and somehow it just magically what it needs.
I haven't taken it apart to really dig in, but the way it works is surprisingly, like, I get why news people are like, you just drop it in, it's amazing, and I'm like, how is that amazing? But it kind of is the way it is, so effortless.
That's one of those things that until you've owned it, you don't really understand how.
Yeah.
You just, you drop it in, and if you don't quite get it right, you can just kind of tap it on the side, and it'll probably self-center itself. Yeah,
it'll just settle right in, and you're good. Yeah. Now this one, it's really like shoving in a cable and pulling it out of a cable, and it's there's effort to it, but it's it's nice. It does the job. It has all the ports. I've got the wired network on it. No issue. I
saw one on the shelf this week and was kind of interested, but then I was like, man, I really don't want to break my Switch just yet. Even though it's a very small number of people that have reported problems with it, I'm sure. And Nyko is, I think, even publicly said like that they stand behind it 100%. If they have to replace your Switch because they broke it, they'll do that. But
and you know what, I would have blown it off more, but and I eventually did just bite the bullet and try it. But that grip thing was such a poor execution. I mean, a mix of good and bad ideas that I was worried that this is the same kind of thing. But at least in my case, again, no complaints. It's definitely not as solid as the nice OG Nintendo piece of hardware. Just like, a third-party product is not as nice as, say, an Apple product or whatever.
But it's also just a little bit more than half the price.
Yeah, well, and actually, I pre-ordered it super early, so it was exactly half the price. It went up $5 at some point. So I got it for $45, no complaints, and it definitely totally does the job. And if I got to pop it out of the dock once or twice sometimes to make it work right, so be it. As long as it doesn't brick my Switch.
Yeah. So the
back to
Miiverse
your
service
topic,
has ended. Miiverse and any software features that make use of Miiverse will no longer be available. Thank you for your interest. That's the message that I get. And when you go to the web-based version of Miiverse, you now just get that little collage of farewell images or whatever. And thank you to everyone who used Miiverse. Miiverse service has ended as of 11/8/17. And please be patient. It might take a few weeks for them to get you your email with your stuff, with your post history. But Miiverse is officially offline.
I should mention to those listening, we record on Tuesday nights usually, so it in effect just happened about an hour ago, not even an hour ago.
Yeah.
40 minutes, yeah. No, I was going to call it out, but I didn't want to interrupt the flow at the time.
Miiverse is dead.
I was about to say,
Yeah.
we've downloaded we've seen our last hand-drawn penis on Miiverse.
Yeah, and boy, were there a lot of them.
Oh my lord! Oh my lord! Those last 2 hours, as the minutes passed, minute by minute, as you got closer to the end, like the number of it was an exponential increase in the drawings of penises and breasts and all sorts.
It was like 1 in 5, and then it was like 1 in 3,
and then it was quickly like 2 out of every 3.
This just in. Yeah. Those kids sure gave the admins a tough last day, even though they're 99% computer robots. It was about what I expected it to be.
Pretty much was exactly as you predicted. Yep.
Yeah.
Anyone I spoke with on pretty much anyone I spoke with on Miiverse, that I cared about communicating with off of Miiverse, I've already made that connection. Thanks to the Wii U's great messenger service, or other ways. But it's one of the interesting posts I had seen was somebody the other day posted like Miiverse. I started using Miiverse when I was 11. Now I'm 17. And I was like, wow, I guess for that age group, that could kind of be a big deal. Like, to me, I didn't really care to begin with, and I don't really care now.
That doesn't quite add up because Miiverse was around a little less than 4 years.
4 or 5, yeah. But yeah,
I think Mo's just mixing up his numbers.
Yeah,
it could be. Whatever. I'm paraphrasing, but there's a certain amount of people that kind of from those formative years that they've always had it, and I think those are the ones that are going to miss it, or the ones that are kids that like it definitely was cool to have.
Screw them. There's only a few million of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we all remember when it was added to the 3DS and then to the Wii U. It was exciting times. It was cool stuff. It still is cool stuff.
Well, the Wii U launched with it, right?
It launched on Wii U,
it was such a big deal, and people thought it was so cool on the Wii U that they immediately were, there was clamoring. Nintendo probably planned on adding it to the 3DS anyway, but there was legitimate clamoring for it. Like, why can't we get this on our 3DS? What the hell,
but you
guys?
could also kind of liken that experience to the internet before and after AOL. Like before AOL, there was a certain type of people that used the internet, and then after AOL, everyone used the internet, and that's kind of how Miiverse was. Like, it was some kind of garbage posts on Wii U, but after the 3DS opened up, it was open season on garbage on Miiverse, because there was a much larger user base to put garbage out. I was surprised tonight. So there was a way that you can post via PC videos and image files in Miiverse communities, but I think people were getting banned for doing it. And then tonight they just opened the floodgate, and there was some other community years ago. I can't remember which one it was, but there was some community on Miiverse where people were posting videos and stuff, and they shut down the community for some game years ago. I can't remember which one it was. But then tonight, Super Luigi U, which was arguably the worst Miiverse forum, they just shut it down early. This community is no longer available.
Like 2 hours prior, they're like, we know where the worst posts are going to be tonight.
And they were already rolling in, and then everybody just kind of switched over to the YouTube community.
Yep.
Which became the official genital drawing art forum for hours and hours and hours. I don't know. I refrained, at least from publicly doing them.
Well, you sent me your private
personal
penis.
ones.
I don't know who else you sent private penis to.
Yeah, I think you were the one. I was just like, if I'm going to draw one, I know exactly who gets it.
And I'm sure Eric got your Wii U chat penis.
No, I wish. Unfortunately, I have not used Wii U chat in a long time, and I didn't get any other Wii U chats in before that. But that's also gone now as well. So the Wii U is only going to be used for playing video games.
The Wii U now has been officially swept under the rug. Yeah.
Well, it's still the only way to experience Netflix, unless you want to watch it on your 3DS. But who's going to do that?
Fair enough.
But yeah, as far as Nintendo's concerned,
most TVs have it now, though.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, as far as Nintendo's concerned, I guess you've got your Wii and your Wii U. But that's pretty much all the Wii U is going to be for. You'll have to post your stuff to Twitter through that horrible process if you've ever done that.
Yes.
Of posting.
When it works.
And it's not I was gonna say it's not everything, right? It's only certain games and certain things.
I mean, there's something special that we've really lost here. We've got it on Switch, but it was a much easier going through Miiverse to post, game images, and it's just something special that we've lost.
Yeah, it's easy.
We might as well
make connections.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Mo was just getting to it. We might as well mention for the billionth time that was how we all, met each other.
That's right. Yeah.
That was like there would be no way if we all played, kept running into each other on Splatoon. There would be no way for us really to figure out how to interact with each other. I don't think. Well, I guess we could friend each other and go on the Wii, and we'd have to actually talk to each other. Yeah,
you could friend each other on Switch and then change your name to the @ symbol and your Twitter address. It's like,
right. Wait, can we friend each other on Switch? And then we can join an audio chat room, right?
We could talk through the app on Splatoon if we both somehow figured out to go to league mode without being able to communicate with one another that I'm going to go into league mode and send you an invitation to league mode.
Okay, so
and hope that you've actually got the app.
So the easiest way, on a Nintendo platform, it sounds like the easiest way for me as a child molester to approach 10-year-olds would be to friend them on my Switch and then immediately be able to talk to them verbally on an audio app. That's how does that make sense?
If you can figure out that you have to be in a league mode or during a Splatfest.
No, wait a minute.
And you have to hope that the other person hasn't already deleted that app.
I could join a chat and talk to you guys. We did that. We played with it first off, and I could join a room and talk to you guys.
You can.
I think it has to be invite, doesn't it?
Yeah, but you can send an invitation even if you aren't in the same mode. I've only received one so far from a rando, which I did not accept. But so you could.
Right. That totally seems like. I mean, you know what I mean. For Nintendo's historical paranoia about potential child predator type stuff, this doesn't seem to offer any protection for that. Am I missing something?
Yeah, I guess it's got less protection than Swap Note.
Yeah.
But you know that what we all used it for was when you were, playing on the Wii U and you played somebody on Splatoon. It's like, oh, this guy's okay. So you just pull up Miiverse and you look and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
he's 5. Never mind.
Yeah, it's a great way to screen people.
Right.
Well, yeah,
but
but it was also. Oh, go ahead.
now you got to make a phone call to him and say, hey,
Yeah.
how's it going? And it's like, hey, I'm 5.
Hey, little boy.
But for Z,
How old are
if he's
you?
5, it's a score. You'd be playing with somebody and they'd send you a friend request. You'd look at their Miiverse. You'd be like, oh my God, it's all stick figure drawings. I'm just going to ignore this request.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was really weird because my alt account, the alien on my Wii U was, I just made it female, just cause. And for some reason that account would just get all sorts of friend requests from little boys. It was creepy.
Wii U chat.
Yeah, exactly. Or Wii U chat requests. Yeah, no, totally. It was like, just, I don't know. Like, oh, I understand a little more what it's like to be a girl on a gaming server.
It would be, I guess the only other way they could do it is I think it'd be cool if on Switch they would add like at least a profile that you could kind of make a profile for yourself and choose to share.
Or that little note like you've got on a 3DS above your card, your friend card.
Yeah.
Even Miitomo lets you make a profile.
Even the Wii U has that too.
Yeah.
Has a little thing where you can put your info, you can put like whatever. Splatoon rules with a Z.
Nintendo is pushing that for us to go to other social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook.
But if you were to share your Twitter information on Miiverse,
don't bother us with your child molestation. Go do it somewhere else.
But there's no way to make that connection unless somebody just randomly searches your name until they find it on social media.
All you got to do is look through all the hashtag Splatoon 2, hashtag Nintendo Switch, and pick the coolest one and just start randomly talking to them. Because that's something you do.
Don't we have a friend that kind of does that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we might have a few, but I don't know. It was. I think I met a lot of you guys through Sub Wars, and then I don't know. Jason, did you know Max before Miiverse?
Yeah, of course.
Maybe
we met through Animal Crossing.
Yeah, you guys knew through Animal Crossing.
And you guys had
stuff.
a third-party Animal Crossing message board you used to haunt before Miiverse, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
that's how you.
But I mean, a friend comes in, and that friend brings their friends, and their friends bring their friends, and it's like we've kind of grown a nice little community just amongst ourselves from friends of friends of friends. But this podcast wouldn't exist without Miiverse because that's kind of where all these strange groups came together from.
All of our
originally just Splatooning together.
I started to say I would have stopped playing Splatoon a long time ago if it was always random, because a lot of the fun was playing as a group.
Yeah, if we hadn't been doing the ranked 4-player matches and 2-player and stuff too, but if we didn't have our own little team that we were, totally, I would have given up on that crap so long ago. I'd be a much more bitter Wii U owner than I am now.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't played Splatoon 1.
Same thing with Sub Wars. You know what I mean? And even before I could really, all we could do is chat over Morse code. But we'd see the same names over and over again, and it's like, oh yeah, that guy, that Momo son of a bitch, always kicks my ass.
Yeah, I felt the same way. That's what was unique about Miiverse is like you and I would kind of go back and forth in Sub Wars, and we just played enough that we would see each other and be like, oh, this one's gonna suck. Like you knew if you were on the other team, like I knew that it was gonna be a challenging match.
But that you would still eventually kick my ass.
Not necessarily. I think it was fairly even. There were plenty of matches where we were the last two facing off, and I was not enjoying it. I was just like, oh, this guy better not get me. And then it's like, hey, this person's on Miiverse.
Yeah, but see that when it ended with the two of us, that was when I knew how it was going to end.
Yeah, and so. that was like unique that we could meet these random people that we were playing games with, and that must have been a small enough community, I guess. But you could also play regionally, so it's just like we would just keep bumping into the same names at first.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, this creeper. Yeah, that's that dude on Subwar. Why is he messaging me? Sorry, go ahead, Jason.
I was just going to say, let me ask you this question then. If there was no Miiverse at that point, and you two had been playing like that, would you have looked each other up online otherwise?
How could we have?
Probably not.
I mean, you could just...
I mean, I guess you could go, I could have just Googled your Nintendo ID or something, I guess, but
it would have been...
probably it wouldn't have gone that far probably for me. It would have been like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was also a unique experience to me in general of having one player online that I keep seeing. Although with Splatoon 2, I do notice a lot of the same names, but I don't really notice as much because there's not as much one-on-oneing in Splatoon.
And there's not, and it's and it's just there was such a small community playing that game that there was only so many people to choose from in the rotation, right?
Yeah.
So you would have to see the same names come up, whereas there's just a hell of a lot. Even though Wii U didn't have a very large install base, it was like the entire install base had Splatoon and was playing it. It seemed like.
Yeah, and I think Jason had somehow. I mean, I guess Jason I knew through Sub Wars as well.
Yeah.
And then just kind of like contacted me and was like, "Hey," and then I think he was talking to you, and I was like, "Hey, he's there too. I remember that guy." So yeah.
And then I found out you guys had this whole Fluffy Clan business in the Sub War. Like, I had totally missed out on all that.
Oh, that was all me. Yeah, the kids on Miiverse, the Sub Wars community for Steel Diver Sub Wars. Like at first, people. I guess this is a thing in gaming online where people make their little gaming clans, and people were always like, "Let's start a clan in Sub Wars," and like I just thought it was funny that like these kids were like, "Let's," especially because you can't organize. Like it randomly throws you on a team.
Yeah, there's no point to having a quote unquote clan at all.
It's not like your team can go up against theirs. It randomly assigns you Team Red or Team Blue. You have no choice. So even if you have a clan, you might all end up on different teams anyway. But then, somebody out there started a clan that he was like, "This is Fluffy Clan," and started like, because everybody's like, we're the badass murderer killers, and like they've got like a crazy dragon or some crap, and then he's like, "This is Fluffy Clan," and drew a fluffy dog, and I was like, I want to join that clan. and basically it seemed like it was a bunch of adults that were just kind of mocking the kid clans, and then sort of grew into a bigger thing, and we ended up getting like over 100 people, I think, eventually.
Yeah,
and
but a lot of them
it was
ended up
kids,
being kids. Yeah.
But it was still funny because you could they kind of would like role play military stuff. Miiverse was a whole thing. You could make up these little imaginary things, and we had like ranks and stuff like that, and it was all just kind of a goof.
Well, that's the thing you could do, because you were in a community with other gamers, and you were among friends, basically.
But
it was,
and that's
just
the thing, though.
Little thing that really didn't necessarily have anything to do with the game. It was just a little social group.
Yeah, and there were plenty of cool people that were involved in that, and you make friendships with that. And I still talk to, a couple of those people off of Miiverse. But yeah, it was just like something that you do and entertain yourself. And I couldn't imagine that kind of thing. Like you couldn't really do that on a forum. Like you wouldn't go on an online forum and be like, "I'm forming a clan of fluffy dogs to play Sub Wars." like they would just scream curse words at you.
You couldn't do that on Twitter either. I mean,
yeah. It's it was a unique thing to itself, and it was almost like Miiverse was like a meta game, and banning people was the ammunition. It's like sometimes you would get reported for what you thought was an innocent post, but I mean, has anyone here ever not had? Maybe Max. She's pretty wholesome. Anyone here not had a violation on Miiverse of the code of conduct?
I never did.
I don't think I did
Yeah.
either.
Wow. And you were bad too. I know you threw your Twitter up on blast tonight.
That was on. That was in a comment.
That was you. That was you going nuclear on on Miiverse.
That was me being a rebel right there.
That's the worst you've ever been in your whole life. Yeah,
Well, I felt it was appropriate. So
yeah. If it's all gonna burn, might as well get yourself out there and make the last few connections that you don't have.
I did have a few people that I probably won't talk to again, and I was
Right.
hoping somebody would pick up on it. So
Yeah.
and hopefully they did.
We'll see. I have a feeling that somebody out there is at least documenting a lot more of Miiverse than we'll realize. And I know I documented plenty of it tonight. I think I've got enough pictures to get me through a whole month of tweets. But yeah, I don't know, somebody's got to be archiving that, you'd think. I wonder what Nintendo's going to do with all that. Probably nothing. It would have been nice if they had just left it up, even if it was not functional, just kind of left it up as a relic. Although I'm sure people would find posts that they didn't realize got past the censors, and that stuff would have to be curated and taken down and whatever. But it would have been nice just to have that instead of everybody having their own PDFs. I guess you could have a PDF verse now where everybody just uploads their own PDFs and you could just search by usernames. But the real sad thing is all the kids that don't use Facebook or Twitter, or for whatever reason their parents were like, you can use Miiverse because it's clean Nintendo, and those kids have lost like one of the only outlets they had. Of course, they're all a bunch of idiots that just drew stick figures all day. But yeah, it's sad. It's the end of a bizarre era and chapter in Nintendo's history.
It really is.
It's right up there with the Virtual Boy and stuff like that. It's like, hey, remember that Miiverse thing? I wonder if we'll see that logo ever again. If Nintendo will have like something in the next Animal Crossing where you can get like a Miiverse shirt or something.
I figure in the next Smash it'll be a trophy.
Yeah, well, you'll play as the green Miiverse guy.
Oh yeah, you could play.
Or it'll be three green guys glued together. I wouldn't put it past them. Yeah.
Alternate color of Mr. Game & Watch.
Yeah. Mr. Miiverse. And only one of them has a face.
And somehow I think it is that one administrator that was always speaking style.
Yeah, the admins really were like that was like they were so vilified, they became this invisible enemy. They were like agents in the Matrix. And people would always like send messages to the admins like, screw you admins, I hate the admins. It's like, you realize that this is all automated and it's just everybody ratting everybody else out. Like like whenever I saw that, like, this post is being reviewed, I'm like, yeah, right.
Well, you gotta love it when they had an announcement like a game was coming up or something. It's like you could really feel how the fans felt, because it was just like,
yeah,
it was just posted there. Oh, this post is about Animal Crossing coming out. Where's Earthbound? Release Mother 3 or whatever. It's like, okay.
Oh, you remember when the lead up to Smash Brothers for Wii U and 3DS, like Sakurai would do the pick of the day, and like, we want Ridley, we want Bigley, we want Shrek,
we want Goku.
Yeah, Goku. Yeah, like it was unique in that it was kind of like, it feels more like you're talking to Nintendo than when you tweet at them, like.
Yeah.
But also it was just like, it was very lighthearted and a lot of fun to be part of.
It really was.
Think. Although that said, I haven't used it very much in the last couple of years. Like it's kind of a novelty, but it was nice that it was there while it was there. It's hasn't sunk in yet, I guess, that it's not there anymore.
I think a lot of us, the reason that we left Miiverse is because we couldn't communicate like playing Splatoon.
Right.
We need to be able to do voice chat and share
And we're
information.
adults.
Right, and we're adults.
And yeah.
So
and
we
we don't.
contacted each other elsewhere.
Yeah.
But, and it just kind of moved away. But I did regret tonight looking at the end of things and seeing posts from people that I hadn't talked to in a while. I regret not being more active over the last few months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have that. Some people also, there was a lot of people that took themselves out that I, never saw again, or just, people come, people go in Miiverse. People just disappear and they're gone, and you don't know what happened to them, if they just got busy or quit caring about it. It's like I wouldn't post very much, but I would still kind of check in every, maybe every couple days, at least every week. But the real tragedy here is that there's like 30 platinum coins that I'm not going to get every week from signing into Miiverse on my Nintendo.
By the way, I noticed I got that tonight. I felt that was a little ironic. Here's your point bonus, and it's like, all right,
that's
minute.
your last one, buddy. Your last platinum point. How does it feel? Yeah, I thought about that when I signed in this week. I'm like, this is my last Miiverse sign-in bonus. I'm gonna have to start hitting Miitomo hard. Got a lot of points to make up. I think it'll be just fine. I think the platinum point situation will just fix itself.
Yeah, I think it'll be perfectly fine.
At this time, I can buy everything and still accrue more. So
if we get it for a Pocket Camp, I think we're all set for life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure how I'm gonna feel about that when that comes out. If I'll definitely check it out when it first comes out. But yeah, I don't know how long I'll stick with that.
We'll make you stick with it. We'll hold you accountable on this podcast.
I'll at least get 100 points probably for linking my account, so that'll be 3 weeks of Miiverse. But yeah, I don't know. Anybody else have any thoughts on the death of Miiverse?
Well, the question I wanted to ask was: do you think we will get anything like this ever again on a Switch or elsewhere?
I mean, other networks have stuff, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't like PlayStation and Xbox, they've got things, but there's nothing quite like Miiverse. And the thing about Miiverse is because it was so heavily moderated, it kind of had to be civil. Yeah. Like, because if you said something naughty, you were going to get taken down for it. So everyone kind of had to be nice, to one another.
I think most people respected the rules to some degree.
Yeah.
Well, and that was the thing is that's Nintendo's community, right? That's a big part of Nintendo's mindset and Nintendo's games is they don't tend to breed that same kind of toxic culture that you would get elsewhere. So people, I think the idea of being in a heavily moderated community, somehow on a Nintendo console, people were totally okay with that. At least, you know what I mean? The people who self-select as Nintendo.
Well, right. Right. It's like you and I, we enjoy a good penis drawing as much as the next guy, but we're also completely civil to other people. Yeah.
But we also have like kids now and stuff and recognize that yes, there are children that use this and yes, maybe there should be a place for children to go in a gaming community where they don't necessarily see a bunch of hand-drawn penises. Yeah.
Yeah. But Nintendo's fans in general are probably a nicer group of people. I've talked in the past about the Animal Crossing community of the people that played Animal Crossing, and
it's the nature of their games.
It's like they
their games tend to be not particularly violent. If they're violent, they're violent in a Bugs Bunny cartoon fashion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're colorful, they're cute, they tend to be family friendly. So I think people that tend to be drawn to those kinds of games. It's like me, like movies. one of the only things that'll drag my ass out of the house to go to a theater anymore will be some 3D animated something. Right,
Yeah.
like I tend to go to the theater more to see, and it was before I even had a kid. Like those were the movies I tended to be able to, talk myself into going and seeing more often. That's just kind of my mindset, and it's totally the same kind of mindset of a Nintendo game versus Call of Duty version number billion. I don't know,
Yeah. And yet this week we can explore the depths of hell in Doom. And cut
Fair
people up
enough.
with chainsaws and
I do,
smash their heads.
and I have very much appreciated the new Doom on the PC version, so I can enjoy that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
But that's not right. I know those people, but those are the only kind of games they play.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I think we can bring those games in as well. What I'd be interested to see is when these companies do start bringing over their extra DLC and microtransaction crap. I hope it doesn't fly, and they'll be like, and they just say for some reason the Nintendo market just isn't receptive to this.
Yeah, good luck with that, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, I feel like that's not going to be the case. As
Too bad
Nintendo is
Eric's
starting to
not on
learn.
here. Too bad Eric's not on here to counter that argument.
The microtransaction king.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's something, At least he's not spending it on drugs and booze and.
Maybe he'd be better off if he were.
Maybe, wouldn't we all? But yeah, Miiverse, rest in peace. We love you. We'll miss you. And we survived the Meepocalypse.
I hadn't even thought about that. Yep. We've survived and lived to tell about it.
Yeah.
I remember the last Meepocalypse when they redone it.
Yeah, our podcast didn't magically end when Miiverse closed somehow.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's like Back to the Future. The photo with the
we're
brother
all
and the sister
gradually
disappearing.
Yeah. Our
I think,
Mii's are anyway.
I think we covered the week that was.
I think so as well.
Hard to get a bigger story than Miiverse.
That's right.
Closing down. We'll see what happens. I don't foresee them coming up with any kind of replacement. I think it was a big headache for them.
Well, and they did
to deal with
swap node and flip note and things like that. They just, instead of bothering to try and moderate it, they just tossed it out. So
yeah, flip note. They just kind of were like, "Here's what's left of flip note,"
and everybody's like,
yeah, like I haven't opened that in a long time. And swap note, it's like it didn't take off the same way, or swap doodle, I guess, didn't take off the same way swap note had. Like,
well, because you couldn't send dick pics.
Yeah. That really, and you couldn't send like little short audio clips or any of that. So they took all the fun out of it. I guess you could still draw. You could still do as much dick pics as you could on Miiverse.
Yep.
So there's still that. Dicks out for Miiverse. And Harambe.
well,
Final
I guess
thoughts, anyone? There you go.
Does anyone have any Miiverse memory they want to share? Like a favorite thing that happened?
It would be the last. It would be the last 2 hours. Would be my favorite thing that happened.
Yeah. I mean, not really. I mean, other than the very real kind of friendships and stuff that were formed on that, it was kind of fun just watching it burn. But I mean, there's just been too many idiots come and go that I've enjoyed watching, but that last 2 hours was the spectacle I expected it to be. It did not disappoint.
I was laughing. I was in tears at some of that stuff. The last hour, man, the genital, the hand drawn genitals, and in some cases these had to be drawn by like 10-year-olds.
Yeah. And on the other hand, some of them were by very competent artists. Every vein and wrinkle intact.
Oh my lord! Some of them were like, seriously, they looked like they were a Photoshop filter of a photo. Yeah, no, totally.
Which now I'm starting to think we're going to start seeing those creep into Splatoon 2's Plaza.
Yeah, I hope so. I really hope so. I'm just looking. I haven't closed some of these pages right on my web browser. I still have some of these things up. I'm still getting to. Did you see the Snoop Dogg and Shrek?
I didn't, but that's a uniquely Miiverse sounding thing.
I know it's they're both naked, and as you can imagine, yeah, it's spectacular.
You're taking screenshots, right?
Yeah, I guess I should take a screenshot of that one.
Jason, do you have a favorite Miiverse moment? I bet it's very different from ours.
Yeah, this is kind of throwing my mind in a different route than what I was thinking. I guess probably my favorite Miiverse moment was probably forming up the Splatoon squad and playing there. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Good
You're
time.
definitely the great organizer of the group. You've organized the pod and kind of keep everybody together. You're the glue that sticks us all together. And definitely in Splatoon, it's like it was Tuesday, wasn't it? Tuesday nights, same as pretty much the podcast. Or it would be a weekly thing, and Jason would assemble the troops and say, "We're playing at this time, this night," and it worked just as well as any stupid old app ever did. That
Well, before
made.
Splatoon, it was we done Mario Kart, and I guess probably the first thing that I really started getting involved in was doing Animal Crossing
meetups.
Yeah. Had a lot of good times with that.
You used to do Animal Crossing like parties and stuff like that.
Those were
He had
fun.
a birthday party for me in Animal Crossing one year.
Yep, I remember that.
So yeah, those are fun things. And like I said, it was overall Miiverse was pretty much a safe place that you could, do those things too. You never really had to worry about harsh judgments and things like that on Miiverse either. The community's a good bunch of people.
How about
Max,
you, Max?
got any memories?
I had several friends on there that were just really amazing artists, and they would. I like going there all the time to see what they'd drawn. Because once you just drew just the cutest drawings, and I'm really going to see that.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest loss. Yeah, hopefully.
People would.
That's going to be the big loss, though. There are so many great artists out there that you never even realized, and that these people they're not professional artists. They're just people who can draw, and this Miiverse made them gods. You could see stuff and just be like, oh my God, like this person should be getting paid for this. And he's just drawing it as a tribute to Nintendo on a website that's going to disappear, and all that's going to be gone.
Max, you saw it? Snoop Dogg grabbing Shrek's ass. Like, yeah, that's now gone. The world has lost that.
Shed a tear, pour a 40.
I think we were probably thinking about Animal Crossing drawings and things like that.
That too, especially like the some of those Art Academy ones, like where people could actually do color, and like you would see some really detailed, great stuff out there, and also there were great troll accounts that were kind of like your daily check in on those people to see what kind of crazy, funny stuff and giggles you could get. So hopefully that stuff gets out there. It's like, I know some other people were talking about making like a Miiverse Discord and stuff like that. And it's like, I'm not really into Miiverse to be into Miiverse like some of those people were. I'll leave that to the kids. But it was definitely a magical place where you could just kind of stumble upon something and be like, this is amazing. Or seeing something in a game that you didn't know could be done. It was nice to be able to, I don't like play the new Metroid game and then immediately go to all the forums on the internet to be like, ooh, what are people saying about this? Or play Breath of the Wild and do the same thing. But it's like on Miiverse, it was a place where you could just be like,
It was
let's
right
see what's
there. It was
going on.
built in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was you know, you had comments in a lot of the games, right? You had comments from people that would pop up in the game. Those were cool. I would usually leave those on.
Yeah. And those are all shut down now too. The Smash Brothers Miiverse stage, some of those Super Mario games had those. Where there's little comments. The NES
Mhm.
Free Mix games. There was a lot of games that had Miiverse integration that just don't anymore. I'm pretty sure Mario Kart 8 YouTube is dead now because that was integrated through Miiverse as well. So
Probably so.
we've lost a lot.
Oh,
but
I
who knows?
forgot that they had that when you posted in Mario Kart 8, it made a link on Miiverse to your video, didn't it?
Yeah, so that's probably gone. Oh well, we'll see what Nintendo's Twitter looks like over the coming week when these people don't have an outlet for their rage.
Again, Nintendo just likes to make a point to kick Wii U
Yeah.
owners in the balls.
Well, there was more than Wii U owners.
No, it launched with the Wii U. It was the
Yeah.
Wii U's service.
Yeah.
They added it to the 3DS secondarily, but it was the child of the Wii U. So now they've murdered all the children of the Wii U.
Next week, Death of the Wii U.
They've killed the whole family. Right? They wanted to end the bloodline. The Wii U's gone.
And they're also trying to kill me.
Wiped from existence.
That's what I wonder about, Jason, is it seems like the Mii might be on its last legs. They've made it kind of difficult in the Switch, or not as easy with the Switch. It's like I had to port mine. I had to do it through an amiibo. So it's like it was the last bastion of the Mii, which sounds like Wii.
I
which
disagree.
sounds like Wii U. Which sounds.
I disagree. They they're not giving up on Miitomo yet, and you can you can give your Mii poses, you can give your Mii faces. The Switch does have an expanded Mii creator, right? There's stuff.
That's true. Different colored hairs and stuff.
Yeah. So you know what I mean? The fact that they've added stuff for this iteration to me means they ain't killing it off yet. And enough people on my friend list use the Mii as their icon. Sorry, go ahead, Max.
I think they're getting tired of Mii's.
Yeah. When I look at my Switch, when I look at through the icons, like you can look at users you've played with on Switch, I almost use the Mii as the measuring stick of whether this is you just got into Nintendo, you're using one of their stock images. You've been into Nintendo, you've got your Mii. And I don't know if that's true or not, but that's kind of the way I look at it.
I have a handful of friends that have Mii's and are just too lazy to do it.
Yeah.
Max counts.
Yeah. Max the purple squid.
Yep.
But get yourself an amiibo, Max. Port yourself over.
Buy them at the store.
Bring your Mii to the Switch.
You can get an amiibo for like $3 on Amazon. Just go find an Animal Crossing one.
Yeah.
Well, Max has.
You can probably get one. You can probably get one anywhere. An Animal Crossing one for $3. Anyway, that was Miiverse.
That's right. We'll miss you, Miiverse. We will.
We'll see you on Twitter.
That's right. Well, I think
you can see us on. Oh.
That's right. It's going to wrap us up tonight. Of course, thank you for tuning in, and be sure and check out new episodes every Thursday. We get them up pretty early, so they should be there most of the day. And of course, you can follow us on Twitter, listen on Stitcher and iTunes, and we love hearing from our fans. So have a good night, and thanks for hanging with us for another long episode.
Share your favorite Miiverse drawing on our Twitter.
Yeah, if you do, we'll give you a retweet.
I'm just baiting everyone. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.